डोंट वरी, वी विल टीच यू हाउ टू गेट फॉरवर्ड। उसके बाद जो फर्स्ट थिंग हम लोग सीखेंगे दैट इज कैरेक्टर एनिमेशंस एंड कैरेक्टर मूवमेंट।
हाय गाइस,
हम लोग कैरेक्टर सेटअप करेंगे हमारे लेवल में, सो दैट यू कैन वॉक विद योर कैरेक्टर, एनिमेट होगा एंड एवरीथिंग। एंड एक बार वो सब हो गया है, वी विल मूव ऑन टू द शूटिंग मैकेनिक्स, जिसमें वी टीच यू हाउ टू शूट द प्लेयर, हाउ टू शूट गन्स एंड जो प्लेयर को लगेगा बुलेट, वो सब ट्रैवलिंग कैसा होगा, वो सब हम लोग देखेंगे। उसके बाद आता है हमारा नेटवर्किंग पार्ट। एक बार हम लोग का पूरा लॉजिक रेडी है, वो पार्ट को हम लोग को नेटवर्क पे कैसे ट्रैवल करना, जो चीज हमारे स्क्रीन पर हो रही है दूसरे स्क्रीन पर भी दिखनी चाहिए, वो हमारा नेटवर्किंग का पार्ट होगा। एक बार वो सब हो जाएगा, देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू द पार्टिकल इफेक्ट, जिससे हम लोग थोड़ा और ग्लोरीफाई करेंगे लेवल को, थोड़ा और बेटर दिखेगा पार्टिकल इफेक्ट से। वो सब होने के बाद आता है हमारा एंड में यूजर इंटरफेस। यूजर इंटरफेस इज इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज उसके वजह से ही हम लोग एक दूसरे के साथ कम्युनिकेट कर पाएंगे। जब भी कोई प्लेयर ऑन करता है अपना गेम, तो वो लॉबी में कनेक्ट होता है, फ्रेंड्स को इनवाइट करता है, एक साथ वो लोग बैठ के एक ही लॉबी में एक ही गेम खेलते हैं। तो वो सब हो जाने के बाद वी विल कलेक्टिवली टीच यू हाउ टू क्रिएट अ गेम फ्रॉम स्टार्ट टू फिनिश इन अनरियल इंजन, एंड स्पेशली आई विल गिव यू माई इनसाइड टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स।
By the end of the workshop, you will have gained a solid understanding of game development process and have an amazing insight. And you must be ready and have the skill to develop your own high quality games. So what are you waiting for? Register now and join the game development workshop today. Register करो और हमसे आके मिलो.
Hi guys, so are you interested to create your own multiplayer high-end game? Then join Game Institute's GI Battleground workshop. In this workshop, you will be learning about game design, network programming, server infrastructure, player matchmaking, and much more. By using industry standard software called Unreal Engine 5, you will develop your own high-end multiplayer game and receive feedback from experienced game developers.
So these are the secrets we will be revealing in this GI Battle Royale workshop. Understanding the basic game implementation, creating your own game physics and game mechanics, build out character abilities such as spawning scene objects and much more, creating logic for different game modes, multiplayer networking and server architecture, testing graphics, audio, music and etc. End of thinking capacity.
So I'm here to talk about the designing aspect of this game. The first part of the designing aspects are our characters that we have found on the Unreal Engine marketplace, and we have retargeted the startup and animations to those characters. इनका लुक एंड फील चेंज करने के लिए हम लोग ने हर एक कैरेक्टर्स के लिए मल्टीपल कॉस्मेटिक्स बनाए. सो इन द गेम ईच एंड एवरी कैरेक्टर कैन चूज टू लुक डिफरेंट, एंड टू फर्दर मॉडिफाई देम हम लोग ने हर एक क्लोथ्स पे, चेस्ट पे अपना लोगो अटैच किया हुआ. एंड ऑल्सो विद द हेल्प ऑफ अ 3D मॉडलिंग यूनिट we have created stylized bags जो हमारा लोगो emit करता है. Now other than that designing, the theme would be stated as Dusty Abandoned Colony. This map was extended to provide a better and fair 5-man battle royale experience, creating essential covers, open spaces and proper spawn points.
Hello, I am here. I will be continuing with where I left off previously for developing the platformer game where we use assets provided by Unity, right? So first of all, I would be requiring a few minutes to pick up what did I do, right? Because it was a week ago and I have looked at much more code since then, so I need to catch up कि मैंने exactly क्या किया था. So I'll just I guess I'll open up all the scripts and I guess that's it, right? Because मेरे main folder में I don't see anything else right now. So ठीक है, let's start with components, right? It is under a namespace entitled PS and yeah, pretty basic कि ठीक है सारे के सारे components यहाँ पे attached है. इसका अलग script का ज़रूरत था? I don't think so. But alright, since we have it in a different mono behavior script, I guess I'll just keep it, even though I don't think it was required. But I must have had a reason to put it in a different script. Then I have something called as events. What are events? On move, on jump, and alright. So following a tiny bit of MVC architecture, okay, input actions we take on update and we bind functions to these events so that they only run on a single update mono behavior or a single mono behavior update, right? They don't keep running on different multiple behaviors and they are just called once actually. ठीक है, not bad, I guess, pretty basic. then I see कि I have animations and controller divided, and then there is input access. I guess ये छोटा script होना चाहिए. Yep. Input action I have pressed hold and reduced pretty basic input access and horizontal को एक constant string में cache करके रखा हुआ. Alright. Then moving on to other scripts. Let me just collapse all of this. Alright. Animations. I think मेरे को animations देखने से पहले I should be looking at controller first, because that is what I would be creating first, right? So again I have player, controller, components and events का references. Alright. Then I have forward and backward. Looks like angles. So I guess मेरे को यहाँ पे दिखना चाहिए था angles. Translation, that is उसको आगे बढ़ाने का variable I guess. Walk pace, run pace and pace, which means मैंने different pacing options डाले हुए हैं. Height for jump. Alright, ये context अच्छा है मेरे लिए. Now also I genuinely don't remember any of this code. I mean, I do remember some parts of it, but it's like looking at a brand new code again that someone else had created. So that is why I might be sounding like this. कि हाँ ठीक है. All right, just a minute. Then I have ground detection जहाँ पे मैंने debug race, अच्छा उसको ऑन करना है नहीं करना है. ग्राउंड लेयर्स एंड डिटेक्शन डिस्टेंस इज व्हाट आई कैन सेट एज वेल. दैट इज ग्राउंडेड में आई यूज टू डिफरेंट रे कास्टिंग, वन ऑन द लेफ्ट एंड वन ऑन द राइट, डिटरमाइन इफ द प्लेयर इज ग्राउंडेड और नॉट. बराबर, ठीक है. देन आई हैव अवेक जहाँ पे बेसिक कैशिंग होता है एंड कंपोनेंट्स अगर नल नहीं है देन उस पर वैल्यूज आता है. इफ दिस सिंटैक्स इज टू कन्फ्यूजिंग आई गेस इसके लिए एक और चीज़ है, if not components, right? In that case components IntelliSense won't work unless I prefix underscore onto it, which is exactly what I intended to do. Yeah, so ठीक है, ये थोड़ा syntax short होगा. Instead of looking at 3 different components or 3 different words of same kind, you just now look at 2 different words of same kind. I guess ये better है, right? And even ये underscore से start होता है, so इसका not भी थोड़ा दिख के आता है. So yeah, I guess this is better, a better way of writing it, right? Cool. Then we have on draw gizmos जहाँ पे मैं debug race and components के लिए चेक करता है अवेलेबल है कि नहीं. All right, not bad. Then I have on enable जहाँ पे मैं of course movement and jump bind करता हूँ. Yes, यहाँ पे मेरा मेन कोड है. जंप के अंदर मैंने कौन सा यूज़ करता हूँ, क्या हाइट फॉर्मूला यूज़ किया हुआ है, एड फोर्स विद इम्पल्स, तो वही, नो अदर ऑप्शन. एंड मूवमेंट पे आई हैव यूज्ड होल्ड एंड रिलीज्ड. ट्रांसलेशन ऑयलर एंगल्स पे फ्लिप मारा है, सो ठीक है. सो मेरे को डायरेक्शन देने का झंझट ख़त्म हो गया मेरा. एंड ठीक है, ये थोड़ा बेटर हो सकता है, लेकिन आई डोंट थिंक मेरे को इस पर ज़्यादा दिमाग लगाना चाहिए अभी. आई शुडंट रियली बी थिंकिंग अबाउट दैट राइट नाउ. आई गेस सो बाद में सोच के कुछ अच्छा कर सकता, बट ठीक है, आई थिंक इट लुक्स फाइन. नाउ फाइनल पार्ट, एनिमेशंस. आई नीड टू कैच अप विद दैट. इवेंट्स, कंट्रोलर्स, हेलो फिरोज, ओके फ्रोज, टैप्स. Then I have components. Alright, pretty basic. References again. The controller is this class, I guess. Yes, of course. Then I have animator hashes. I create a quick property for s falling so that I don't have to go this far every time I want to check its velocity. Like component के अंदर, body के अंदर जाके, velocity के अंदर के, y के अंदर जाके, and then we have to compare it with a constant literal. So ठीक है, this doesn't necessarily provide any betterment in terms of performance, but only in terms of reading the code, right? Readability थोड़ा better करता है. अब एक के अंदर common caching ऑन एनेबल ऑन डिसेबल ऑफ कोर्स इवेंट बाइंडिंग फिक्स्ड अपडेट में आई सेट इज फॉलिंग, दैट इज अगर उसका वेलोसिटी नीचे गिर रहा है, ओनली इन दैट केस आई actually do set float to a floating value and boolean to is grounded. Alright, part of the animation, correct, not an issue, right? इसका grounded मैं कभी भी check कर सकता हूँ, that is fine. It is ran every fixed update but only while I'm falling. And then I have a moment जहाँ पे I see set float pace hash and context पे if I'm holding I pass on controller pace, if I released I press or give off 0. I don't have a condition mentioned for pressed, जो ठीक है, जो अभी के लिए कॉन्फ्लिक्ट देगा मेरे को, बट ऑलराइट वी कैन जस्ट इग्नोर इट. Then finally jump के अंदर I make the grounded forcefully false and then velocity is also forced to 0. Excuse me. सागर भाई डोर बंद कर दो ना. Yes, ठीक है. I guess I can now move forward to making this movements a bit more responsive. I'll also just play to see कि किस क्वालिटी का चीज़ अचीव हुआ. Alright, walking looks pretty fine. Running है, alright, camera follow नहीं बना. Jumping is really bad. Okay, ठीक है. She is jumping, but ठीक है, animation proper at least. Right, she is jumping, going up and coming down quite late. So ठीक है. अभी यहाँ पे मेरे को दो modifications दिख रहा. First of all I need to go to my jump component and मेरे को यहाँ पे देखना है कि when I am multiplying with its gravity am I also multiplying it with its gravity scale. The answer is yes, I am. So yeah, that's fine. In which case I can just turn this up without thinking much about it. I'll also be turning on linear drag and angular drags to the value of 1. So this is what I see now. Right? Much better than before, I guess. The thing is, she doesn't stay in air for much longer. But this is still a bit clunky, I'd say. Right? Because she's going up and she's coming down in a regular time, but I think the process of her landing onto the ground could be faster. Right? Let's say I want to increase the height of her jump, that is to 5, that is an extended unit. Right? And now you can see कि the time that it takes for her to land on the ground is a little much more than needed. Right? Now going up, it never matters. That's fine. Going up is fine. But the coming down part, that's what matters. So we need to fix that. That is, for whenever she is falling down, we need to write some extra code. Now we want to decide if this code would be part of the controller or of the animation. Right? It is a part of the controller, definitely. Right? So ठीक है, I'll move on to events and यहाँ पे fixed update है मेरे पास एक और. That's great. अभी इस fixed update में इवेंट्स मैंने चिपका के कहाँ रखा? इवेंट्स भी इधर ही चिपका के रखा. यप, ठीक है. सो आई गेस जो इस फॉलोइंग का कोड है मेरे को इवेंट्स पे लिखना चाहिए इन अ सिंगल फिक्स्ड अपडेट. ठीक है, ठीक है. सो बिफोर आई accelerate the following process, I would want to shift this code onto the events class. Or actually, ये piece of code can remain here, but the is falling property should be in events, I guess. Or maybe there isn't even a requirement of such a property. I don't know. Maybe it can go in controller as well. Right. That is, मैं यहाँ पे लिख सकता हूँ कि is falling, right? Because it shouldn't be a part of the animation. ये controller इसको call back देता है कि हाँ इस पे क्या क्या चीज़ मिल सकता. So इसका falling अपने को मिल सकता. Why not? Embody is a component, alright. ठीक है. Controller से we have get this and आई गेस ये कंट्रोलर वो जब रेफरेंसेस में थोड़ा फकअप किया हुआ. आई एग्री कि कंपोनेंट्स वगैरह जो भी पार्ट्स है दैट शुड बी टुगेदर विद इवेंट्स. सो एनीथिंग दैट आई वांट रिगार्डिंग द कंपोनेंट्स should also be a delegate that calls back that component. But I think अगर मैं अभी सारी की सारी चीज़ें ऊपर नीचे करने बैठूँगा सिर्फ टाइम कंज्यूम करेगा वो ज़्यादा. So I'll just leave at what is where and ठीक है, it is what it is then. In that case, I would be creating a controller update right here. Okay, now the point again was to have only just one update, but ठीक है, we can migrate it later as well. In this update, I just want to make sure कि उसका falling part is working. उसका फॉलोइंग कॉल बैक चाहिए मेरे को एक्चुअली. सो यहाँ पे आई हैव कंपोनेंट राइट. सो आई जस्ट से कि श्योर इफ दिस कंडीशन वर टू बी पास्ड, इन दैट केस आई वांट अंडरस्कोर कंपोनेंट्स डॉट embody डॉट क्या था, आई गेस वेलोसिटी था, वेलोसिटी डॉट वाई plus equals to time dot delta time. Right. I mean this isn't going to work unless मैं इसको vector2 dot down से multiply करूँ. Right. That is for when I'm falling. I want to keep decreasing the velocity even more. राइट. सो इसको वेक्टर टू डॉट डाउन में प्लस इक्वल्स टू कर सकते हैं या फिर वी कैन जस्ट यूज वेक्टर टू डॉट अप एंड माइनस इक्वल्स टू वट एवर यू प्रेफर. राइट. आई गेस आई प्रेफर दिस बिकॉज यहाँ पे मेरे को माइनस सेक्शन दिख जाता साइन एंड डाउन से छोटा वर्ड है. सो आई डोंट नो. ठीक है. आफ्टर दैट आई गेस आई कैन ऑल्सो हैव another header that controls फॉलिंग. राइट. ठीक है. अभी फॉलिंग करने पे क्या आना चाहिए, serialized field private float velocity multiplier. Right. I'll just name this variable like this as of now and इसको इस multiply family पे डाल दूँगा. So everything multiplies with each other and don't come here, don't come here. don't make noise. So I have this velocity multiplier as a part of this multiplication family, and now I just need to set a value onto it. Let's say अगर मैं value डालता हूँ 1 का, so when I'm falling ये मेरा velocity actually multiply करते रहेगा, right? So इसको note down करने के लिए I'll just say velocity of 10. Do I see any incrementation while it's falling? No. Yep, I'm starting to see some extra force. Right. Let's make it 100. Right, that is a lot of force onto the character. As you can see, how fast she keeps on falling now. Right. So take it. This is the value that we want to keep at somewhat like 40, I guess. Right, because this is only adding. Let's try 25 because there's a little too much force because she is going underground for some reason. Why is she going underground? This is fine, right? Yes, there are some frames that are being skipped. So take care. We now see कि Ellen falls quicker. This is better. Alright. So take care. Now what I wanted was कि ये जो falling का part है, I don't want to repeat code. There already exists a property for such a callback. So I want it to be composite. What can be composite is the events class, which is where all of my components should be as well. So I'll start migrating right now after I finished achieving the fall multiplier for now. Right, so take care. So some code modifications. So I'll just say, first of all, I require private rigid body 2D m underscore body again, right? ठीक है, not an issue. I'll just say awake पे try get component out m body. This is one way of doing it, but we are not trying to get component. This is a requirement as of now, right? So in that case, it would always be better to just use get component instead of try get component, right? Because try get component will also check for some handling code if it is not found. That is, so उसको boolean में convert देगा. That is extra information process कर रहा है, which is really not necessary in this case, right? So इसके अंदर I'll put out the s falling parameter, or sorry, property, not parameter, public, and then I have this m body right here, right? So I now say कि if it goes below a specified threshold of a velocity, it is then triggered. Yes, you might be hearing some weird noises now. So I'll just say if s falling, then I want another action happening, that is on falling, or better yet, when falling, right? So if s falling, then we call when falling as an event, that is, we invoke it. Simple as that. Alright. सिंपल, ठीक है. That is move, jump, falling वगैरह सब बराबर है, ठीक है. Now I just need to go back to the controller and I just want to go to enable and I'll say p underscore events dot when falling. I just want to add this thing right here, right? That is private void accelerate velocity. But thing is, whatever I am doing in here must be applied to the body as well, correct? So in that case, I must be passing the rigid body within invoke, right? So this means this needs to be another type of an event that uses rigid body 2D as component T1, right, where the invoked member, that is argument 0, would be embody, which also means कि यहाँ पे मेरे को इसका सिग्नेचर चेंज करना पड़ेगा, that is rigid body 2D body, right? So I'll just say body.velocity minus equals to whatever is supposed to be happening, right? So ठीक है, that is accelerate gravity, I guess. For now I'll just keep this name, ठीक है. So I'll just say accelerate gravity आ जाएगा यहाँ पे, and even here we can say events dot when falling minus accelerate gravity. Alright, so ठीक है. Now instead of making all this events as unity action, I guess इसको यूनिट इवेंट बनाना सही चीज़ रहेगा, बट ठीक है, पहले कोड माइग्रेशन कंप्लीट कर लेता. सो नाउ दैट आई डोंट रिक्वायर एनी अपडेट हियर. Even in animation there is no requirement of such thing. Instead I just want to write this code onto a function private void when falling. It's a function that does this, right? So again I have this one falling, and that's fine. I just need to bind it on enable and on disable. Now what I mean by having to make this into unity events instead of actions is that I don't want to write a useless signature in here, right? मेरे को यहाँ पे body लिखना पड़ रहा, even though the body is never in use. Actually it can be. So I'll just say body.velocity.y. In that case that's fine. It's fine. ठीक है, nice, great. So I'll just copy all these things and paste it right here. Again getting rid of an extra fixed update frame every single time, right? So ठीक है, no requirement of is falling here. We only require animator hashes, and I don't think even we require controller anymore. Components. Controller is required. This is manim set float, right? I guess for this special animator case we can have animator only cached here. Like I don't think कि हम लोग को animator का ज़रूरत किसी और स्क्रिप्ट में पड़ेगा. So keeping the animator here would make perfect sense. That is private animator m_anim, right? Which is when I go to awake and I'll say m_anim is equal to animator, and that's it. Oops. Right, so I have this. It's fine. It's great actually. Now it says key components does not exist in here, which is not even required. Same with jump as well. We know which animator we are using. It's so ठीक है. I guess this code is a much cleaner version of itself right now. I want to eliminate this component script because I don't know why I made it previously. Maybe because मेरे को फटाफट करने का था, या फिर I didn't think much about it. Maybe I was finding a quick solution into doing that or in using that. Maybe, I don't know. Alright, so ठीक है. Even static input action के लिए I just have two of this, right? So I guess इसको repeat करना भी सही होगा. Why create a static director just for when it is used twice? ठीक है. Set float this, set float that. I don't see any problem now. कंट्रोलर फाइन है. कंट्रोलर का काम क्या है? कंट्रोलर किधर यूज़ हो रहा है फिर भी? इवेंट्स इज फाइन. इवेंट्स बराबर है. कंट्रोलर इज यूज्ड फॉर इट्स स्पेस, दैट इज करेक्ट, एंड इट इज यूज्ड फॉर इट्स इज ग्राउंडेड एबिलिटी, विच इज ऑल्सो फाइन, करेक्ट. ठीक है. फॉर नाउ लेट्स सी इफ इट नीड्स एनी मोर माइग्रेशन. सो कंट्रोलर, राइट. कंट्रोलर के अंदर कंपोनेंट्स का क्या काम है? लेट्स जस्ट से इफ वी कमेंट दिस, कितने एरर्स आते हैं? काफ़ी सारे. अभी क्या इवेंट्स के अंदर वी रिक्वायर कैप्सूल्स? नो, नॉट रियली. तो वहाँ पे बॉडी क्यों रखा हुआ? दैट इज ऑल्सो लेजिट क्वेश्चन. बॉडी इज केप्ट. Okay, body is kept for when it is falling. Rigid body is a physics body, तो उसका component इवेंट्स में रहना थोड़ा सा सेंस बनाता है. आई डोंट नो फॉर श्योर, बट ठीक है. यहाँ पे एज लॉन्ग एज आई सी आई एम ओनली यूजिंग कंपोनेंट्स फॉर इट्स कैप्सूल कोलाइडर एंड लिटरली नथिंग एल्स, राइट. इवन जंप करने के टाइम भी आई एम ओनली जंपिंग वेयर, आई डोंट नो. सो आई गेस जंप करने के टाइम भी मैं इसको रिजिड बॉडी का एक्शन में कन्वर्ट कर सकता हूँ मैं, राइट, अराउंड हियर. सो आई कैन अगेन पास m_body, राइट, विच मीन्स यहाँ पे थोड़ा इश्यूज आने वाला, राइट, बिकॉज रिजिड बॉडी मेरे को लेना पड़ेगा. सो यहाँ के एरर्स सॉल्व हो जाता है. As you can see, 2 errors solved हो गया. And for this I also require rigid body, right, which means I can now replace this right here and this right here as well. And for okay, maybe इसके लिए मैंने इसको अलग लिया था because अलग अलग चीज़ अलग अलग जगह पे रखना काइंड ऑफ इश्यूज दे रहा था. सो आई क्रिएटेड अ कलेक्टिव स्पेस जहाँ पे आई जस्ट नीड टू रेफरेंस देम वंस. ठीक है, व्हाटएवर. ठीक है, फाइन. ठीक है, which means I can now delete this script of useless, right? फालतू के मोना बिहेवियर्स भर के नहीं रखना एक्स्ट्रा. I have animator, I have when falling, and again मेरे को एक छोटा सा इशू है बस कि sure I am passing off rigid body when I am invoking such events, but this function don't really require that rigid body. One of them does, one of them doesn't. That is, jump करने के time can I make use of something from rigid body? Should I be making use of something from rigid body? I mean, मिल रहा तो उसको यूज़ करना से ज़रूरी नहीं है. It's not necessary कि if I'm getting something I must use it, but still I must find meaning on why am I getting it. Is it useful? Is it just once that I don't need to use it, or I can ignore it? I don't know. So yeah, I'll just try to analyze that. Acceleration and gravity, I have this, and while jumping I have something else. Okay, both are different events and I am not really binding any much onto any of it, but from what I think, these events are going to be useful when we create effects, such as, let's say, on jump के time we want to play particles such as smokes, so I can just bind the particle play function onto this event, and for whenever I press the space bar actually वो particles वगैरह play होएगा. Even for sounds, that is, for when falling I can create a post processing effect जहाँ पे everything focuses on the player, right? एक air change होने का sound आता है, air का sound आता है, जो भी है. So all these things can be added to such events, but I think उसको Unity action के पहले I need to switch it onto Unity events, because I can then bind it using the inspector, which would be best, right? So take it. Is it going to change my syntaxes or anything? Yes, definitely. अगर तुम लोग ने events use किया हुआ है कभी, then definitely you know कि normal delegates use the increment assignments, compound assignments. Yes, compound. They use the compound assignment operators to bind functions, but when they are Unity events, they instead use functions such as add or remove listener, which means मेरे को सब जगह पे add आने वाला. That is correct. So I'll just use add listener instead. Right, that's it. This is the call. Yeah, इतना सा चीज़ मेरे को करना पड़ेगा सब जगह पे. जंप, राइट. सो एक जगह से मेरे को ऐड लिस्नर एंड रिमूव लिस्नर एक एक करके निकालना पड़ेगा. सब जगह पे फिर कॉल डालना, इट लुक्स बैड टू मी. So instead of adding, I'll copy and paste this right here, and I'll just remove listeners. या फिर better yet, जो सबसे बेस्ट बात है इसका, remove all listeners. But of course we don't want to remove all listeners for when this is disabled. Do we want to? मतलब जब मेरा एनिमेशन का स्क्रिप्ट बंद हो गया, दैट इज फॉर व्हेन दिस इज क्लोज्ड, आई डू एक्चुअली वांट टू रिमूव ऑल लिसनर्स. आई मीन एग्जैक्टली वही लिख रहा था मैं यहाँ पे, राइट. इसके पहले आई एम रिमूविंग मूवमेंट, जंप एंड व्हेन फॉलिंग, which is this are literally all the listeners from this class. So I can just go on to saying events dot on move dot remove all listeners. That's great. बट थिंग इज मेरे को अगेन ये 3 बार लिखना ही पड़ेगा बिकॉज दिस इजंट रिमूविंग फ्रॉम ऑल ऑफ द इवेंट्स एज कंपोजिट, दैट इज ये सिर्फ एक इवेंट में से निकाल रहा. आई वुड हैव टू डू इट ऑन जंप एंड आई वुड हैव टू डू इट ऑन व्हेन फॉलिंग. बट अगेन इसका खास बात यही, इफ आई वर टू ऐड मोर लिस्टनर्स हियर I don't have to unbind them right here again, which is great. And if we want a composite, right, so we can have a function here that actually removes all listeners from all of them. I am against using it as of now, but मैं ऊपर से थोड़ा बता देता हूँ, right? Remove all listeners, right? So I'll just use again this simpler code and I forgot the shortcut on अगर एक ही टाइप का चीज़ कंप्लीट क्या खालता सेलेक्ट किया है तो सब एक साथ कैसे डिलीट करें. बट ठीक है, दिस इज ऑल remove listeners, then I can just go on here and I can call this function then, right? This also works just fine. Let us clear all events. We can name this something as such if required, but for now I guess I'll just stick with individual removal, right? It's not allowing me. Alright, वापस लिखूंगा. Done. So ठीक है, so that's how you can create such a function, composite वगैरह जो भी है, ठीक है, not an issue. इसके बाद I want to go to controller and I want to do this basically the same thing, that is I guess यहाँ पे भी इसको भी नाम बताओ when falling, so automatically निकाल देगा. And I want to pass the same code right here again. Alright. Now इसका एक छोटा सा डाउन साइड है कि श्योर वी आर रिमूविंग ऑल लिसनर्स, बट थिंग इज वो मूव में से ऑल लिसनर निकाला, दैट इज इफ सिर्फ एनिमेशन बंद हुआ देन वो कंट्रोलर के भी लिसनर्स निकाल रहा. ये मैंने जस्ट रियलाइज किया है, माई बैड आई जस्ट रियलाइज दैट. सो वी डोंट रियली वांट टू रिमूव ऑल लिसनर्स बिकॉज देयर विल बी अ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कि एनिमेशन में से निकालेगा देन कंट्रोलर का भी निकलेगा एंड सो ऑन. वेट, आई नीड टू फोकस. लॉल, आई एम स्पेंडिंग और किलिंग अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम हियर. which I shouldn't be doing, but ठीक है. So cool. So events में rigid body, हाँ, and since इसको मैंने 80 events बना लिया, I can now bind them here, which means for functions जो मेरे को enable और disable में नहीं डालना, I can just also drag and drop them right onto this events, right? जैसे कि jump पे मैं बोलूँगा कंट्रोलर के अंदर there is a function called as jump, which it would be showing if this were public, right? So इसको public करने के बाद we can just say sure कंट्रोलर पे use the jump function, but नहीं दिख रहा है यहाँ पे for some reasons why. Okay, animation का है वो. एनिमेटर में एनिमेशन पे there is jump rigid body 2D as well as jump dynamic. Okay, dynamic मतलब दोनों सिग्नेचर एंड उसका जो डेलीकेट दोनों में मैच हो रहा है, विच मीन्स इफ आई बाइंड देम एज डायनामिक, वो इवेंट इन्वोक करने के टाइम सेम रिजिड बॉडी पास करेगा जो इन्वोकेशन में पास हो रहा है. दैट्स इट, राइट? व्हेन वी बाइंड on enable functions or on disable functions, they are always dynamic. Okay, so if I want to bind a non-dynamic event, that is, I don't really require this signature right here, which means I cannot add them on here, but worry not, I can still add them right here if I let it compile. Right, that is, मैं बोल सकता हूँ यहाँ पे जाके एनिमेशन पे जाके it's going to say jump. That's great. Alright, that's it. It is now binded right here, so everything will work as expected. But again, this also is a bad thing as it breaks our code consistency. Right, what you are doing here is you are consistently binding it using messages, unity messages such as enable, disable, and just for one instance you decided to bind it in a serialized fashion. This is much better left off for all the effects that we were talking about. नहीं, right, so we don't need to bind this here. But even if you were to forcefully bind it on jump, then अपने को इस तरीके से लिखना पड़ता उसको, that is into a weird syntax. I'd use the discard symbol and then I'd say oh, okay, yeah, jump function, my bad, ठीक है. सो इस तरीके से कुछ लिखना पड़ता है मेरे को, राइट, विच मीन्स ये अगेन लोकल फंक्शन बना रहा है वेर डिस्कार्ड इज rigid body 2D, and I can still remove the same listener. But again, this again breaks the consistency of what you are going with. So I guess it would just be better to take the L with this one and let it all go. Just do it normally. Even if we don't require rigid body right here, I'll just keep it in order for future uses or future use cases, whatever there is, right? It's all right. So the track of components is with events as of now, and everything else is within the controller and animator classes divided, right? Sorry, ठीक है. So now that we have Ellen falling faster, we require adding a limit to her speed because of exactly this behavior, right? Sometimes she just seems to be falling too faster, right? That is, we can see कि इसका velocity is at a constant rise. Okay, here, right here. Right, as you can see, notice the velocity. It went negative 25 at some instances, which is not something that we want. But again, to prevent her from getting into the ground, I guess changing the collision detection mode to continuous would help solve that a little bit. Right, it is okay to have continuous on characters, especially in an action game. So I guess that's alright. There is also one more thing that I think we should be doing, is that we need to change her collider's hitbox for when she is actually jumping. Right, so I guess I'll go to animations, I'll go to elevating, and I'll look at this. Right, यहाँ पे I'll just add property capsule collider. We want to change the size of the collider as well as we want to change the offset of the collider. where we want to get rid of the last frames, and यहाँ पे as we progress we change everything, right? That is offset जाएगा 1.1, 1.2 even, yeah, 25, right? So you can see एक एक फ्रेम ऊपर जाते जा रहा, and in here we need it even higher. Alright. I guess we can just ignore the knees part. If required, you can increase the hitbox, right? But I think वो थोड़ा weird behaviors देगा, so I guess hitbox static रखना ही best strategy रहेगा, right? Static रखना it means horizontal पे static रखना, that is we don't want to change it, right? And last frame में I guess it goes even shorter. Alright, I guess that's it. So as we can see, इसका collider is now perfectly synced for when she is calling or cowling. Right, I guess starting maybe it should be at 1.2. Right, so this is much more accurate now. Alright, this is for elevating. We have perfectly set the collider at idle for when she is walking. Even I guess that's fine, not bad. Alright, for when she is running, यहाँ पे changes चाहिए, but I guess running का changes we'll look at later. For now just jumping पे focus करते हैं. So ठीक है, this is for elevating. Now we want to do the same thing for falling. Alright, that is size and offset. The first frame is a bit higher, which is where we want to copy from elevating, right? That is, it was 0, 1.2, 1.2, right, and 0.5 and 2. Oops, sorry, last frame compare करना, 0, 1.75, 0.5, 1.4. Right, this is where we pick up. Right, all these frames should be the same between the two, so that the transition is smoother. And on the final frame, we want it to come back to the original frame of elevation, that is, and 2, I guess, correct. So basically this as handed right here, 1 and 1.2 पे we see a perfect blend, right? थोड़ा head पे issues है, but I guess that's fine. Right, यहाँ पे I guess we can keep it 1.2 so that for when she is falling it stays proper. And on the last frame there is something like this. So alright, so we have this done. Now just one more thing, I felt कि इनका speed could have been better, or it could have been faster. Right, if I turn on gizmos and if I were to click on speed terrain, I can now see the colliders, right? As you can see, they are much more responsive now, right? Now also I want to turn off debug race because I'm done debugging. It works fine, I know of it now, right? Okay. So I get what I made. Now we want to limit the velocity at which she is falling. So we already have when falling function, right? We need to extend it. Sure, she is falling and we are increasing her momentum, but we want to limit her momentum up to a certain threshold again, which is what generally happens in games. That is, especially in platformer game, when you jump and when you go up, everything is fine. It works on normal in-game physics bodies, but the actual code happens, or the extra features or effects are added for when the character is always falling, right? Now when falling, you don't want to wait long because the game would lose its sense of speed, right? We want to get to the ground as fast as possible to get back to the action, but we just also don't want to teleport right away. We want it to take just a slight amount of time, and while we do that, we want to be able to control the character. Of course, he should be falling fast, and इसको भगा ना. हाँ ठीक है, sorry. So where was I? No, we have kids here. So he was dancing in front of me for some reasons to annoy me, I guess. Alright. Where was I? कि हाँ, उसको जंप का लिमिटेशन देना. Yeah. So when we are actually falling, that is when we want the player to give a sense of control. What can human eye control with consistency? An object moving at a constant speed, right? So for when an object is moving at a constant speed, we know where it is going to be next, right? Let's say in a game like Apex or even CS, where movement has a limited speed. Okay, let's say the character will always be moving in a speed of 200. So if he is always strafing left and you are fighting with him, and when you want to shoot him, you predict where he is going to be on the next few seconds, and you start shooting there, and you trace him eventually because his speed is constant, right? If his speed wasn't constant, tracing him would require much more focus, which would sometimes, for an intermediate player, would make them lose their spray, right? But for when the tracing is happening at a constant speed, you forget about tracing the opponent. That is done automatically then, right? It is done by your mind automatically, and you only focus on the bullet tracers or whatever that is you do in order to control your spray and to actually confirm that shots are going onto the target. So this is just one example of why constant speeds can help you predict or help you focus on multiple things at once, which is what gives joy when playing games, right? To be able to utilize in order to proceed. Utilize what? Utilize the mind. Yeah. So again, my requirement is, let's say this is the graph, right? We have our player right here, right? This, let's say this bar now represents time. Okay, I'll move the player right here, my bad, right? This is distance over time. Right. So what was happening when we were jumping without any additional code? Player went up and it came down. As simple as that. But you notice this flattening right here. This is not something we want. What we want to do, or what we have now, is sure, the player goes up, but since we are adding additional force to it, the flattening is still there, but it's just that कि ये वाला part is now more steeper. Right, it's somewhat like this. Let's retrace it again, and this part follows more of a steeper curve. Now what we want is, when following a steeper curve, it becomes harder for player to control a character that is constantly increasing its velocity. Now of course this is a valid option in many 3D games, but in platformer games we want to have the ability to control the player perfectly while in air, right? We want to have control of the player, or a sense of control essentially. So what we really want is, we want to follow this graph and we want to start this steepening process as soon as we can, right? And then after it is steeped to a certain angle, we just want it to move at a linear speed. Alright, which is essentially, it might cover the same distance, it might not cover the same distance, depending on हम लोग यहाँ पे कितना एंगल छोड़ रहे हैं. Right, so we are following the same rising path, but when we are falling down, we are reducing this flattening, right, and starting the curve, and at some point it just stops going down, right? That is, if I were to draw it onto the blue line, I guess वही बराबर रहेगा. It's just that कि यहाँ से वो ये रेड वाला लाइन फॉलो करेगा, right? We don't want the curve to go any straight, because eventually अगर बहुत ही speed बढ़ेगा, then curve will be straightening, right? Because the time is increasing, distance is not, and the velocity is increasing as well, right? I guess यहाँ पे time, yeah, बराबर time, ठीक है. So we want to follow the red part, right? For now. Now we also want to shorten this flattening, which will be the next part, right? For now, let's just focus on limiting the steepness, limiting the steeping process. Oops, मैं obviously click कर रहा था, don't save. Never mind. So वो चीज़ करने के लिए I would have to go to when falling, and a very simple solution, that is body.velocity equals to clamping everything. That is new vector 2 x will be equals to mathf.clamp, right, body.velocity.x and everything else. So अभी मेरे को यहाँ पे बार बार सब रिपीट ना करना पड़े, उसके लिए मैं एक अच्छा चीज़ लिख के रखता हूँ, that is where velocity will be equals to body.velocity, right? And then I'll reverse this in the end, that body.velocity will be equals to velocity. That's it. Now where do I decrement this multiplier? On the y-axis, correct? So I'll just say velocity.y will be decrementing this. Then I say velocity.x will be equals to mathf.clamp. Again velocity.x, that is what the value is supposed to be. the minimum value is what I need to define in here, right? That is serialized field private vector2 min velocity and max velocity. Alright, so add this min velocity dot x and max velocity dot x. Right, again literally the same thing with y. Alright, that is for readability इस तरीके से रख सकते हो, but we can also choose to say कि this will be then negated with this value, which I don't know if it makes the code cleaner. दोनों भी approach fine है. We'll just reassign him or reassign this variable 2 times. Not a big issue, right? I guess it just contributes to readability more. Right. Also, we do want to clamp after we are done adjusting with the velocity multiplier, especially for y. So I guess this is a better iteration of itself now. Right. So that is when falling, we are also limiting it to a minimum or maximum velocity. If you want the minimum maximum velocity to be of the same values but just in a minus or a negative or a positive range, then you can just have one vector2 here, right? And here you can write कि negative clamp velocity, positive clamp velocity, negative clamp velocity, positive clamp velocity, and something like that. But for now I don't, right? So I'll just keep the maximum velocity to 15 on x, I guess, and 15 on y. I don't know, right? 10 कर देता हूँ. And minimum velocity should also be negative 10. Now there is an attribute that I had created, that was the max attribute, which happens to work, or which I made it to work on vector2s, right? So I'm going to get rid of this right here. I'm going to define it in its own space, and I'm going to attach that attribute right here, max. That is maximum, it should be 0. That is, it won't move. So what does it change is that I can't get this value. What? Oops, मैंने किस पे लगा? max पे लगा. My bad. I should be applying it on min. Oops. Yes. So it won't go above 0 now. Okay, now this attribute isn't available via Unity. There is an attribute called as min, which is a part of Unity. But there isn't an attribute called as max that is a part of Unity for some reasons. I have no idea why. Alright, so if you want this attribute, here is the basic attribute. Alright, and if you want its drawer, I guess this is मेरा पुराना code है, yeah? Then this is the drawer, right? And type is serialized property type. Alright, so maybe if you can pause the video, you can get all this down, right? I'll just go over it once again. If the property type is not any of this, in that case the help box will be drawn, or else I will be checking for any changes in the property, and when the change happens, I'll just clamp everything using the clamp functions. Again, this is an older code, so I think I guess this is pretty much it. Even in that case, it is what it is then. Alright, cool. So now that you also have the attribute code, we'll move forward, right? And minimum pay, I cannot get it below 0, so I get this solves some of the issues. So I'll say minimum x velocity should be negative 20. Right. Alright. So as you can now see, if I were to keep this value at negative 1, my character wouldn't go below the velocity of 1. Right. That is what you can see right here. Why is it going at 1.5? What about 2? Is it because of the drag? I think it is because of the drag. Huh. Velocity is clamped at minimum velocity dot y. Print velocity dot y. This is weird. It keeps on going to 2.5 even though I clamp it at negative 5. Sorry, negative 2. Yeah, it is going at negative 2. Right? Negative 2 पे clamp हो गया वो चीज़. Then यहाँ पे जो show हो रहा है, I guess it's false. Right. I also try printing directly from body as well. That is body.velocity.y. That is, I have no relation to this local variable whatsoever. If that also gives me 2, oh, it doesn't give me any 2. So क्या हो रहा है? इंक्रीज क्यों हो रहा है ये बार बार? ठीक, आई डोंट नो, बाद में देखेगा, बट ठीक है, अभी के लिए आई गेस थोड़ा सा काम कर रहा है, थोड़ा वैल्यूज़ का इशू है, आई हैव नो आइडिया वाई, बट ठीक है. आई गेस मेरे को इसको फिर यहाँ पे लिखना चाहिए, उसकी वजह से कुछ हो रहा होगा, आई एज्यूम. Okay. Alright then. No idea why. इसको कोई और मैनिपुलेट कर रहा फॉलिंग के टाइम. हाँ, ऑल्सो एनिमेटर में क्या जा रहा है? एनिमेटर में 2 ही जा रहा है. एनिमेटर में isn't going to floating point values. No idea. I guess it's ignorable in that case. Weird. ठीक है. Now what I was telling is sometimes you don't really also require maximum velocity, right? Because तुम लोग कैरेक्टर के पास ऐसा एबिलिटी नहीं होने वाला कि मैक्सिमम कोई सी स्पीड पे जाना या किधर जाना. So in that case you can also get rid of that variable. You can only have minimum velocity, and instead of the value right here you can also use float.max value in both cases, right? Which is again the constant जो तुम लोगों को float का maximum value देता है, and it's just going to help you to limit this velocities to a lower value of, or a minimum value of whatever is specified, and then a maximum value of whatever the limit is supposed to be, so that you are not clamped on a value above the specified minimum value. ठीक है. So I guess if वो weird issue हो ही रहा है, it's just better off to write it differently in that case again. Right. ठीक है. So I'm just going to write -20 right here. Alright, so you can see मेरा character never goes below -20. If I even write -5, it won't go below -5. It might be due to gravity scale, I guess, or maybe because of continuous. Nope, never mind. Alright, so ठीक है, some physics issues. Cool. I'll definitely forget about that now. So अभी हम लोग ने वो स्ट्रीप को एक स्ट्रेट लाइन में कन्वर्ट किया. That is, it will no longer be curving towards straightness for as long as the character is in air. It will still be controllable at a very defined speed. Right, so you can see it is now moving at a very constant speed. That is -20. Right, that is, I am now able to control कितना लेफ्ट जाएगा कितना राइट जाएगा. If this didn't exist, if this restriction didn't exist, that is, I can go to -10,000 right now and you can see the difference for yourself कि क्या speed से गिर रहा है वो. That is, you can see it keeps on increasing. How am I supposed to control my character like that? Alright, this is such a big distance. Imagine falling from a cliff and it just keeps on falling faster. You just lose control of a character. But for a value of -20 or even I guess -15 or 12.5, it would be better to just have something like this. कोई नहीं है ना क्लास में और? हाँ ठीक है. Shift plus, okay sir, hold alt and select multi-line cursor. What? Hold alt and select multi-line. Yes. Okay, weird. हाँ ठीक है. अच्छा, शिफ्ट अल्ट एरो कीज, माय बैड. ओके लल. ओके छोड़, बाद में देखते हैं. ठीक है, वी विल लुक एट इट लेटर. बट फॉर नाउ आई गेस मेरा मूवमेंट थोड़ा बेटर है. नाउ ऑल्सो आई वांट to have some kind of a dynamic jump. Again, why not, right? Since हम लोग का movement इतना perfect हो गया, again, right? Why not have a better jump, right? So ठीक है, we'll have a dynamic jump. That is, I now need multiple callbacks for jumping. That is, on jump, sure, I have get key down, correct? Now I would also be requiring input action right here. Okay, interesting. ठीक है, इनपुट एक्शन भी डालता है. एंड वन फॉलिंग में क्या आएगा? आई गेस तो अपने को इनपुट एक्शन में एक और चीज़ स्पेसिफाई करना पड़ेगा. दैट इज नन. दैट इज ऑल टाइम पे काम करेगा वो. दैट इज, इसका वैल्यू जाएगा उप्स 0, embody. Alright, and यहाँ पे we'll just pass pressed. Now we want the same thing else if all of this, that is released. Alright, so ठीक है, if this is being released, in that case मेरे को यहाँ पे लिखना पड़ेगा कि इनपुट एक्शन alright, or maybe I can also use context. ठीक है, so in jump I want to say if context is not equal to pressed. In that case I want to just return, because this code is only going to work on pressed and nowhere else, right? And also I don't really think we require falling pay the same thing. I mean, I don't know, मैंने उधर क्यों डाला. ठीक है, alright, ठीक है. Input action context jump, and then I have key if context is pressed. In that case I first check if it is grounded or not, right? Or else I am now going to check if it is released. Right, ठीक है, which is better. Also, क्या dual generic events serialize होता है? Yes, होता है. Nice, good to know. I didn't knew this कि dual serialized events serialize होता है कि नहीं होता. ठीक है, so now I have animation, and animation के अंदर we have set everything just fine. Jump is an input action, so it will be in that category. Controller के अंदर we want to write what is going to happen when released. Now there is no specific animation for when we are to cancel our jump. It will be handled automatically as इसका velocity will be cancelled. So what we require now is we want a new variable, right? That is, again we require private floats, not public floats. Private float, that is jump cancel multiplier, right? Now this value is supposed to be between 0 to 1, 0f to 1f, because I'm going to be multiplying this and not dividing anything. And also I'll just say jump height, right? Because there is more context to it now. Of course, take a jump के अंदर jump आएगा, that's fine, it doesn't really matter. We have jump cancel multiplier, and we just want key body dot velocity multiply equals this value. So I'm just going to do what I did in the following function. I'm going to copy all of this code. I'm going to do this part, I guess, and here I'll just multiply it with jump cancel multiplier. Alright, that is jump, cancel, transition, smoothness. Right, we don't want total smoothness, we want a smaller smoothness. So इसको I'll try to demonstrate right now. Right, so the value for now is 0. Okay, what is up with this inspector? Lol, that is weird. मैंने पहली बार देखा कि इसके अंदर चला जाता है टेक्स्ट. ठीक है, I'll just press play and as you can see, if I just jump, my ln goes straight back. Right, now that's because मैंने यहाँ पे get की अपनी लिखा हुआ sadly. Right, so sure, अभी तक हुआ नहीं. फॉलिंग जंप वगैरह ठीक है, प्रेस्ट आएगा, रिड्यूस आएगा. Oh, I don't have a jump height, my bad. Alright, so if I hold it works fine, but if I release, as you can see, now I am able to change the height of the jump. That is tap, hold a little bit and hold all the way. But the thing is, for when I am releasing while it's falling, I can still stop it. So I don't want to do that. So I just want to stop this action for when the character isn't falling. So I already have this boolean right here. Correct. Of course, this action should only be called for when the character not as falling, that is for when it is rising. Alright. So if I release the button while it's falling down, it's not going to get called, but it's going to get called for when I tap it. Now the transition is something like this. The 0 had no transition, whereas 1, it wouldn't make a difference. Whereas the value of 0.1, you can see it isn't as rigid. When the value was 0, it felt like it's hitting an invisible wall of some kind. Let me turn off the gizmos. Right, so it feels like it's hitting an invisible wall. But with a higher transition value, it tries to go a little smoother. An ideal value would be 0.4. As you can see now, I can hold to jump up to almost this height, but then I can also tap to go towards this height. Right, so yeah, there is also a small animation issue that it doesn't leave its falling state if it found ground in the rising state already. So while it is elevating, okay, there is also a grounded true. Okay, when it's falling it's also grounded true. Alright, so I think मैंने ये set करके रखा हुआ है, so there shouldn't be any problem. So ठीक है. What just happened? It didn't found body. What? कोड किधर गया? Oops, I don't know. Auto delete. ठीक है. Alright. So I guess this is working just fine. I'll keep this at a value of 0.325 as of now. So this is the dynamic jump that I have right now. That is, I can jump to a desired height. Alright. Also, I would like to lower the velocity multiplier up to a value of 15 instead. Right. Also, I guess it would be better to change the name to adder, because now it says velocity multiplier. What are we doing with velocity multiplier? We are subtracting, right? So we don't want that, not really. So we want to say key velocity deceleration rate, I guess, for now. Alright, so this value can be kept at 15 again, or the previous value was 25, right? I'll try 20 this time. Okay, it is sometimes getting stuck. Alright, I think I can replicate why this is happening. Alright, the thing is, it didn't find any ground, right? And why would that be? Is there a ground? Yes, there is. Alright. So it isn't detecting any ground, correct? Would that be something to do with calling the when falling onto fixed update instead? I don't think so. Maybe I think so. Can this be replicated right here? Yep. Oh, it happens when I don't leave my spacebar. That is, I am just holding it forever. Alright, so in that case, I need to figure out why. Right. Now this is an issue or a bug, or maybe an incomprehension of what I have developed so far using incorrect inputs. So why does it behave like that? So I first of all need to go to events, and I need to check if is falling is being called or not for when it is on the ground. I don't think it will be called because my velocity is at this speed. I'll try it once more. Okay. What happens when I'm just holding spacebar? Nothing, right? Is it because of my controller? Right, I want is grounded to be. Okay, my bad. This should be right here, but and then is grounded. It should be right here like this. Right, if the button was pressed and then if grounded is true. But this is just happening one single frame, right? Yeah, correct. Get button down, get button or get key up, correct. What is it with animation that it doesn't do well? Let me try printing controller.s grounded for every time that it keeps falling. Okay, I have no speculations as of now. So मेरा grounded जब false रहेगा, that is for when I'm pressing the button, it makes my grounded to false. And that is if it is pressed. Is this being called multiple times? And for when I'm falling, I mean, of course, so multiple times fall नहीं होना चाहिए. Yeah, बराबर है. On falling पे ground detect करना चाहिए, but it is not detecting ground. Only when I'm holding my space bar. That is very weird. I have literally no option on what to do for when it is held. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe ये held है. या मेरे पास होल्ड नहीं इसलिए वो शो दे रहा कि आई एम नॉट एबल टू नोप अगेन वेरी वियर्ड. ठीक है, I guess I'll take a break to see what is actually going on so that I can speak more. Alright, ठीक है, मैं ब्रेक लेने का ट्राई करता हूँ, देखता हूँ क्या होता है.
Hi guys, so are you interested to create your own multiplayer high-end game? Then join Game Institute's GI Battleground workshop. In this workshop, you will be learning about game design, network programming, server infrastructure, player matchmaking, and much more. By using industry standard software called Unreal Engine 5, you will develop your own high-end multiplayer game and receive feedback from experienced game developers.
So these are the secrets we will be revealing in this GI Battle Royale workshop. Understanding the basic game implementation, creating your own game physics and game mechanics, build out character abilities such as spawning scene objects and much more, creating logic for different game modes, multiplayer networking and server architecture, testing graphics, audio, music and etc. End of thinking capacity.
So I'm here to talk about the designing aspect of this game. The first part of the designing aspects are our characters that we have found on the Unreal Engine marketplace, and we have retargeted the startup and animations to those characters. इनका look and feel change करने के लिए हम लोग ने हर एक characters के लिए multiple cosmetics बनाए. So in the game, each and every character can choose to look different. And to further modify them, हम लोग ने हर एक clothes पे, chest पे अपना logo attach किया हुआ. And also with the help of a 3D modeling unit, we have created stylized packs जो हमारा logo emit करता है. Now other than that designing, the theme would be stated as Dusty Abandoned Colony. This map was extended to provide a better and fair 5-man battle royale experience, creating essential covers, open spaces and proper spawn points. We have also created a dusty ground with the help of exponential height fog which is available in the Unreal Engine. And to finalize everything, हम लोग ने light assets हर एक जगह पे place किए with proper tint to make the environment look fantastic.
Hi, so I will teach you how to create an online GI battle royale game. The first thing we will be making is the blueprints in Unreal Engine, which is the visual scripting language. So if you are not familiar with coding, don't worry, we will teach you how to get further. उसके बाद जो फर्स्ट थिंग हम लोग सीखेंगे दैट इज कैरेक्टर एनिमेशंस एंड कैरेक्टर मूवमेंट. हम लोग कैरेक्टर को सेटअप करेंगे हमारे लेवल में सो दैट यू कैन वॉक विद योर कैरेक्टर, एनिमेट हो गया एंड एवरीथिंग. एंड एक बार वो सब हो गया है वी विल मूव ऑन टू द शूटिंग मैकेनिक्स जिसमें वी टीच यू हाउ टू शूट द प्लेयर, हाउ टू शूट गन्स एंड जो प्लेयर को लगेगा बुलेट वो सब ट्रैवलिंग कैसा होगा वो सब हम लोग देखेंगे. उसके बाद आता है हमारा नेटवर्किंग पार्ट. एक बार हम लोग का पूरा लॉजिक रेडी है वो पार्ट को हम लोग को नेटवर्क पे कैसे ट्रैवल करना है, जो चीज हमारे स्क्रीन पर हो रही है दूसरे स्क्रीन पर भी दिखनी चाहिए, वो हमारा नेटवर्किंग का पार्ट होगा. एक बार वो सब हो जाएगा देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू द पार्टिकल इफेक्ट जिससे हम लोग थोड़ा और ग्लोरीफाई करेंगे लेवल को, थोड़ा और बेटर दिखेगा पार्टिकल इफेक्ट. वो सब होने के बाद आता है हमारा एंड में यूजर इंटरफेस. यूजर इंटरफेस इज इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज उसके वजह से ही हम लोग एक दूसरे के साथ कम्युनिकेट कर पाएंगे. जब भी कोई प्लेयर ऑन करता है अपना गेम तो वो लॉबी में कनेक्ट होता है, फ्रेंड्स को इनवाइट करता है, एक साथ वो लोग बैठ के एक ही लॉबी में एक ही गेम खेलते हैं. तो वो सब हो जाने के बाद वी विल कलेक्टिवली टीच यू हाउ टू क्रिएट अ गेम फ्रॉम स्टार्ट टू फिनिश इन अनरियल इंजन एंड स्पेशली आई विल गिव यू माई इनसाइड टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स.
By the end of the workshop, you will have gained a solid understanding of game development process and have an amazing insight. And you must be ready and have the skill to develop your own high quality games. So what are you waiting for? Register now and join the game development workshop today. Register करो और हमसे आके मिलो.
Hi guys, so are you interested to create your own multiplayer high-end game? Then join Game Institute's GI Battleground workshop. In this workshop, you will be learning about game design, network programming, server infrastructure, player matchmaking, and much more. By using industry standard software called Unreal Engine 5, you will develop your own high-end multiplayer game and receive feedback from experienced game developers.
So these are the secrets we will be revealing in this GI Battle Royale workshop. Understanding the basic game implementation, creating your own game physics and game mechanics, build out character abilities such as spawning scene objects and much more, creating logic for different game modes, multiplayer networking and server architecture, testing graphics, audio, music and etc. End of thinking capacity.
So I'm here to talk about the designing aspect of this game. The first part of the designing aspects are our characters that we have found on the Unreal Engine marketplace, and we have retargeted the startup and animation to those characters. इनका लुक एंड फील चेंज करने के लिए हम लोग ने हर एक कैरेक्टर्स के लिए मल्टीपल कॉस्मेटिक्स बनाए. सो इन द गेम ईच एंड एवरी कैरेक्टर कैन चूज टू लुक डिफरेंट एंड टू फर्दर मॉडिफाई देम हम लोग ने हर एक क्लोथ्स पे चेस्ट पे अपना लोगो अटैच किया हुआ. एंड ऑल्सो विद द हेल्प ऑफ अ 3D मॉडलिंग यूनिट we have created stylized bags जो हमारा लोगो emit करता है. Now other than map designing, the theme would be stated as Dusty Abandoned Colony. This map was extended to provide a better and fair 5-man battle royale experience, creating essential covers, open spaces and proper spawn points. We have also created a dusty ground with the help of exponential height fog which is available in the Unreal Engine. And to finalize everything, हम लोग ने light assets हर एक जगह पे place किए with proper tint to make the environment look fantastic.
Hi, so I will teach you how to create an online GI battle royale game. The first thing we will be making is the blueprints in Unreal Engine, which is the visual scripting language. So if you are not familiar with coding, don't worry, we will teach you how to get further. उसके बाद जो फर्स्ट थिंग हम लोग सीखेंगे दैट इज कैरेक्टर एनिमेशंस एंड कैरेक्टर मूवमेंट. हम लोग कैरेक्टर को सेटअप करेंगे हमारे लेवल में सो दैट यू कैन वॉक विद योर कैरेक्टर, एनिमेट हो गया एंड एवरीथिंग. एंड एक बार वो सब हो गया है वी विल मूव ऑन टू द शूटिंग मैकेनिक्स जिसमें वी टीच यू हाउ टू शूट द प्लेयर, हाउ टू शूट गन्स एंड जो प्लेयर को लगेगा बुलेट वो सब ट्रैवलिंग कैसा होगा वो सब हम लोग देखेंगे. उसके बाद आता है हमारा नेटवर्किंग पार्ट. एक बार हम लोग का पूरा लॉजिक रेडी है वो पार्ट को हम लोग को नेटवर्क पे कैसे ट्रैवल करना है, जो चीज हमारे स्क्रीन पर हो रही है दूसरे स्क्रीन पर भी दिखनी चाहिए, वो हमारा नेटवर्किंग का पार्ट होगा. एक बार वो सब हो जाएगा देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू द पार्टिकल इफेक्ट जिससे हम लोग थोड़ा और ग्लोरीफाई करेंगे लेवल को, थोड़ा और बेटर दिखेगा पार्टिकल इफेक्ट. वो सब होने के बाद आता है हमारा एंड में यूजर इंटरफेस. यूजर इंटरफेस इज इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज उसके वजह से ही हम लोग एक दूसरे के साथ कम्युनिकेट कर पाएंगे. जब भी कोई प्लेयर ऑन करता है अपना गेम तो वो लॉबी में कनेक्ट होता है, फ्रेंड्स को इनवाइट करता है, एक साथ वो लोग बैठ के एक ही लॉबी में एक ही गेम खेलते हैं। तो वो सब हो जाने के बाद वी विल कलेक्टिवली टीच यू हाउ टू क्रिएट अ गेम फ्रॉम स्टार्ट टू फिनिश इन अनरियल इंजन, एंड स्पेशली आई विल गिव यू माई इनसाइड टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स.
By the end of the workshop, you will have gained a solid understanding of game development process and have an amazing insight. And you must be ready and have the skill to develop your own high quality games. So what are you waiting for? Register now and join the game development workshop today. Register करो और हमसे आके मिलो.
Hi guys, so are you interested to create your own multiplayer high-end game? Then join Game Institute's GI Battleground workshop. In this workshop, you will be learning about game design, network programming, server infrastructure, player matchmaking, and much more. By using industry standard software called Unreal Engine 5, you will develop your own high-end multiplayer game and receive feedback from experienced game developers.
So these are the secrets we will be revealing in this GI Battle Royale workshop. Understanding the basic game implementation, creating your own game physics and game mechanics, build out character abilities such as spawning scene objects and much more, creating logic for different game modes, multiplayer networking and server architecture, testing graphics, audio, music and etc. End of thinking capacity.
So I'm here to talk about the designing aspect of this game. The first part of the designing aspects are our characters that we have found on the Unreal Engine marketplace, and we have retargeted the startup and animations to those characters. इनका लुक एंड फील चेंज करने के लिए हम लोग ने हर एक कैरेक्टर्स के लिए मल्टीपल कॉस्मेटिक्स बनाए. सो इन द गेम ईच एंड एवरी कैरेक्टर कैन चूज टू लुक डिफरेंट, एंड टू फर्दर मॉडिफाई देम हम लोग ने हर एक के क्लोथ्स पे, चेस्ट पे अपना लोगो अटैच किया होगा. एंड ऑल्सो विद द हेल्प ऑफ अ 3D मॉडलिंग यूनिट we have created stylized packs जो हमारा लोगो emit करता है. Now about the map designing, the theme would be stated as Dusty Abandoned Colony. This map was extended to provide a better and fair 5-man battle royale experience, creating essential covers, open spaces and proper spawn points. We have also created a dusty ground with the help of exponential height fog which is available in the Unreal Engine. And to finalize everything, हम लोग ने light assets हर एक जगह पे place किए with proper tint to make the environment look fantastic.
Hi, so I will teach you how to create an online GI Battle Royale game. The first thing we will be देखेंगे is the blueprints in Unreal Engine, which is the visual scripting language. So if you are not familiar with coding, don't worry, we will teach you how to get further. उसके बाद जो फर्स्ट थिंग हम लोग सीखेंगे that is character animations and character movement. हम लोग कैरेक्टर को सेटअप करेंगे हमारे लेवल में so that you can walk with your character, animate होगा and everything. And एक बार वो सब हो गया है, we will move on to the shooting mechanics, जिसमें we teach you how to shoot the player, how to shoot guns and जो player को लगेगा बुलेट वो सब ट्रैवलिंग कैसा होगा वो सब हम लोग देखेंगे. उसके बाद आता है हमारा नेटवर्किंग पार्ट. एक बार हम लोग का पूरा लॉजिक रेडी है, वो पार्ट को हम लोग को नेटवर्क पे कैसे ट्रैवल करना है, जो चीज हमारे स्क्रीन पर हो रही है दूसरे स्क्रीन पर भी दिखनी चाहिए, वो हमारा नेटवर्किंग का पार्ट होगा. एक बार वो सब हो जाएगा देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू द पार्टिकल इफेक्ट, जिससे हम लोग थोड़ा और ग्लोरीफाई करेंगे लेवल को, थोड़ा और बेटर दिखेगा पार्टिकल इफेक्ट. वो सब होने के बाद आता है हमारा एंड में यूजर इंटरफेस. यूजर इंटरफेस इज इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज उसके वजह से ही हम लोग एक दूसरे के साथ कम्युनिकेट कर पाएंगे. जब भी कोई प्लेयर ऑन करता है अपना गेम तो वो लॉबी में कनेक्ट होता है, फ्रेंड्स को इनवाइट करता है, एक साथ वो लोग बैठ के एक ही लॉबी में एक ही गेम खेलते हैं. तो वो सब हो जाने के बाद वी विल कलेक्टिवली टीच यू हाउ टू क्रिएट अ गेम फ्रॉम स्टार्ट टू फिनिश इन अनरियल इंजन, एंड स्पेशली आई विल गिव यू माई इनसाइड टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स.
By the end of the workshop, you will have gained a solid understanding of game development process and have an amazing insight. And you must be ready and have the skill to develop your own high quality games. So what are you waiting for? Register now and join the game development workshop today. Register करो और हमसे आके मिलो.
Hi guys, so are you interested to create your own multiplayer high-end game? Then join Game Institute's GI Battleground workshop. In this workshop, you will be learning about game design, network programming, server infrastructure, player matchmaking, and much more. By using industry standard software called Unreal Engine 5, you will develop your own high-end multiplayer game and receive feedback from experienced game developers.
So these are the secrets we will be revealing in this GI Battle Royale workshop. Understanding the basic game implementation, creating your own game physics and game mechanics, build out character abilities such as spawning scene objects and much more, creating logic for different game modes, multiplayer networking and server architecture, testing graphics, audio, music and etc. End of thinking capacity.
So I'm here to talk about the designing aspect of this game. The first part of the designing aspects are our characters that we have found on the Unreal Engine marketplace, and we have retargeted the startup and animations to those characters. इनका लुक एंड फील चेंज करने के लिए हम लोग ने हर एक कैरेक्टर्स के लिए मल्टीपल कॉस्मेटिक्स बनाए. सो इन द गेम ईच एंड एवरी कैरेक्टर कैन चूज टू लुक डिफरेंट, एंड टू फर्दर मॉडिफाई देम हम लोग ने हर एक क्लोथ्स पे, चेस्ट पे अपना लोगो अटैच किया हुआ. एंड ऑल्सो विद द हेल्प ऑफ अ 3D मॉडलिंग यूनिट we have created stylized bags जो हमारा लोगो emit कर. Now about the map designing, the theme would be stated as dusty abandoned colony. This map was extended to provide a better and fair 5-man battle royale experience, creating essential covers, open spaces and proper spawn points. We have also created a dusty ground with the help of exponential height fog which is available in the Unreal Engine. And to finalize everything, हम लोग ने light assets हर एक जगह पे place किए with proper tint to make the environment look fantastic.
Hi, so I will teach you how to create an online GI battle royale game. The first thing we will be making is the blueprints in Unreal Engine, which is the visual scripting language. So if you are not familiar with coding, don't worry, we will teach you how to get further. उसके बाद जो फर्स्ट थिंग हम लोग सीखेंगे दैट इज कैरेक्टर एनिमेशंस एंड कैरेक्टर मूवमेंट. हम लोग कैरेक्टर को सेटअप करेंगे हमारे लेवल में सो दैट यू कैन वॉक विद योर कैरेक्टर, एनिमेट होगा एंड एवरीथिंग. एंड एक बार वो सब हो गया है, वी विल मूव ऑन टू द शूटिंग मैकेनिक्स जिसमें वी टीच यू हाउ टू शूट द प्लेयर, हाउ टू शूट गन्स एंड जो प्लेयर को लगेगा बुलेट वो सब ट्रैवलिंग कैसा होगा वो सब हम लोग देखेंगे. उसके बाद आता है हमारा नेटवर्किंग पार्ट. एक बार हम लोग का पूरा लॉजिक रेडी है, वो पार्ट को हम लोग को नेटवर्क पे कैसे ट्रैवल करना है, जो चीज हमारे स्क्रीन पर हो रही है दूसरे स्क्रीन पर भी दिखनी चाहिए, वो हमारा नेटवर्किंग का पार्ट होगा. एक बार वो सब हो जाएगा देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू द पार्टिकल इफेक्ट जिससे हम लोग थोड़ा और ग्लोरीफाई करेंगे लेवल को, थोड़ा और बेटर दिखेगा पार्टिकल इफेक्ट. वो सब होने के बाद आता है हमारा एंड में यूजर इंटरफेस. यूजर इंटरफेस इज इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज उसके वजह से ही हम लोग एक दूसरे के साथ कम्युनिकेट कर पाएंगे. जब भी कोई प्लेयर ऑन करता है अपना गेम तो वो लॉबी में कनेक्ट होता है, फ्रेंड्स को इनवाइट करता है, एक साथ वो लोग बैठ के एक ही लॉबी में एक ही गेम खेलते हैं. तो वो सब हो जाने के बाद वी विल कलेक्टिवली टीच यू हाउ टू क्रिएट अ गेम फ्रॉम स्टार्ट टू फिनिश इन अनरियल इंजन, एंड स्पेशली आई विल गिव यू माई इनसाइड टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स.
By the end of the workshop, you will have gained a solid understanding of game development process and have an amazing insight. And you must be ready and have the skill to develop your own high quality games. So what are you waiting for? Register now and join the game development workshop today. Register करो और हमसे आके मिलो.
Hi guys, so are you interested to create your own multiplayer high-end game? Then join Game Institute's GI Battleground workshop. In this workshop, you will be learning about game design, network programming, server infrastructure, player matchmaking, and much more. By using industry standard software called Unreal Engine 5, you will develop your own high-end multiplayer game and receive feedback from experienced game developers.
So these are the secrets we will be revealing in this GI Battle Royale workshop. Understanding the basic game implementation, creating your own game physics and game mechanics, build out character abilities such as spawning scene objects and much more, creating logic for different game modes, multiplayer networking and server architecture, testing graphics, audio, music and etc. End of thinking capacity.
So I'm here to talk about the designing aspect of this game. The first part of the designing aspects are our characters that we have found on the Unreal Engine marketplace, and we have retargeted the startup and animations to those characters. इनका लुक एंड फील चेंज करने के लिए हम लोग ने हर एक कैरेक्टर्स के लिए मल्टीपल कॉस्मेटिक्स बनाए. सो इन द गेम ईच एंड एवरी कैरेक्टर कैन चूज टू लुक डिफरेंट, एंड टू फर्दर मॉडिफाई देम हम लोग ने हर एक क्लोथ्स पे, चेस्ट पे अपना लोगो अटैच किया हुआ. एंड ऑल्सो विद द हेल्प ऑफ अ 3D मॉडलिंग यूनिट we have created stylized bags जो हमारा लोगो emit कर. Now about the map designing, the theme would be stated as dusty abandoned colony. This map was extended to provide a better and fair 5-man battle royale experience, creating essential covers, open spaces and proper spawn points. We have also created a dusty ground with the help of exponential height fog which is available in the Unreal Engine. And to finalize everything, हम लोग ने light assets हर एक जगह पे place किए with proper tint to make the environment look fantastic.
Hi, so I will teach you how to create an online GI battle royale game. The first thing we will be making is the blueprints in Unreal Engine, which is the visual scripting language. So if you are not familiar with coding, don't worry, we will teach you how to get further. उसके बाद जो फर्स्ट थिंग हम लोग सीखेंगे दैट इज कैरेक्टर एनिमेशंस एंड कैरेक्टर मूवमेंट. हम लोग कैरेक्टर को सेटअप करेंगे हमारे लेवल में सो दैट यू कैन वॉक विद योर कैरेक्टर, एनिमेट होगा एंड एवरीथिंग. एंड एक बार वो सब हो गया है, वी विल मूव ऑन टू द शूटिंग मैकेनिक्स, जिसमें वी टीच यू हाउ टू शूट द प्लेयर, हाउ टू शूट गन्स एंड जो प्लेयर को लगेगा बुलेट वो सब ट्रैवलिंग कैसा होगा वो सब हम लोग देखेंगे। उसके बाद आता है हमारा नेटवर्किंग पार्ट। एक बार हम लोग का पूरा लॉजिक रेडी है, वो पार्ट को हम लोग को नेटवर्क पे कैसे ट्रैवल करना है, जो चीज हमारे स्क्रीन पर हो रही है दूसरे स्क्रीन पर भी दिखनी चाहिए, वो हमारा नेटवर्किंग का पार्ट होगा। एक बार वो सब हो जाएगा, देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू द पार्टिकल इफेक्ट, जिससे हम लोग थोड़ा और ग्लोरीफाई करेंगे लेवल को, थोड़ा और बेटर दिखेगा पार्टिकल इफेक्ट। वो सब होने के बाद आता है हमारा एंड में यूजर इंटरफेस। यूजर इंटरफेस इज इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज उसके वजह से ही हम लोग एक दूसरे के साथ कम्युनिकेट कर पाएंगे। जब भी कोई प्लेयर ऑन करता है अपना गेम तो वो लॉबी में कनेक्ट होता है, फ्रेंड्स को इनवाइट करता है, एक साथ वो लोग बैठ के एक ही लॉबी में एक ही गेम खेलते हैं। तो वो सब हो जाने के बाद वी विल कलेक्टिवली टीच यू हाउ टू क्रिएट अ गेम फ्रॉम स्टार्ट टू फिनिश इन अनरियल इंजन, एंड स्पेशली आई विल गिव यू माई इनसाइड टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स।
By the end of the workshop, you will have gained a solid understanding of game development process and have an amazing insight. And you must be ready and have the skill to develop your own high quality games. So what are you waiting for? Register now and join the game development workshop today. Register करो और हमसे आके मिलो.
Hi guys, so are you interested to create your own multiplayer high-end game? Then join Game Institute's GI Battleground workshop. In this workshop, you will be learning about game design, network programming, server infrastructure, player matchmaking, and much more. By using industry standard software called Unreal Engine 5, you will develop your own high-end multiplayer game and receive feedback from experienced game developers.
So these are the secrets we will be revealing in this GI Battle Royale workshop. Understanding the basic game implementation, creating your own game physics and game mechanics, build out character abilities such as spawning scene objects and much more, creating logic for different game modes, multiplayer networking and server architecture, testing graphics, audio, music and etc. End of thinking capacity.
So I'm here to talk about the designing aspect of this game. The first part of the designing aspects are our characters that we have found on the Unreal Engine marketplace, and we have retargeted the startup and animations to those characters. इनका लुक एंड फील चेंज करने के लिए हम लोग ने हर एक कैरेक्टर्स के लिए मल्टीपल कॉस्मेटिक्स बनाए. सो इन द गेम ईच एंड एवरी कैरेक्टर कैन
सो हेलो, आई फिगर्ड आउट क्या प्रॉब्लम था वो, एंड बहुत ही छोटा सा प्रॉब्लम था. इट्स इवन वियर्ड. एट फर्स्ट आई थॉट वाइल डेवलपिंग कि मैंने इनपुट एक्शंस में कुछ मिस आउट किया. Since I am only passing out pressed and released, it shouldn't be changing anything, right? It isn't. But for now, if you see, if I press play, it just works fine, even if I'm holding the space bar, right? Camera भी बता दिया. But now, if I want to replicate this, it's a very very weird thing. When the minimum velocity was set to negative 12.5, right, that is only then I can replicate this for some reasons. Now this is definitely not an issue with my code, right? Now why is that? I don't know. Maybe the physics engine is bugged for this version of Unity. Maybe they'll patch it. But if you can see, when I'm releasing the spacebar, it works fine. But when I'm holding the spacebar, as you can see on my screen right here, right, it's visible right here, I am able to replicate it. But even when the velocity or minimum velocity is changed, that is to negative 12 now, it won't replicate that for some reasons. So I don't know what happened. I went through the entirety of the code to find out कि क्या हो रहा है, क्या गलत किया मैंने, is there something that I don't understand, क्या मैंने कुछ गलत किया. The answer is no. It was I don't know what it was. ठीक है, कुछ भी था ये तो. It was a problem that shouldn't be existing, but yeah, here we are, right? So even if I go to a floating point value such as negative 11.5, does it still replicate itself? Let's see. Oops. No. For some reasons, it only bugs itself out when the negative value or the minimum velocity value is at negative 12.5 for some reasons. right? Which is a very weird thing. As you can see, I'm clearly holding the spacebar right here, and it seems to work just fine onto the screen, right? And even when the value is slightly changed, like 12.4, let's say, it still replicates. So I guess इसका कुछ threshold -13 पे जाता, right? It works fine. A very weird issue, a very weird issue, right? And this issue shouldn't even be happening in the first place. That is why the break took so long, and because I was trying to figure out कि क्या गलत किया मैंने, what is happening, why is it behaving like this. The answer is it's not my fault, it's Unity's fault. I'm not playing the blame game, but yeah, as you can see, the results are right in front of us. The velocity is only clamping itself at a certain value, but for the reason I speculate कि ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है कि एक certain value पे आके वो ground attack क्यों नहीं कर पा रहा, अभी उसका आंसर sure, for when it is falling at a very specific amount of speed, it is not able to catch or able to detect the collider. It is not able to detect a collision, especially with the raycasting, at a very specific velocity, right? So हो गया, उसके बैक एंड कोड में कुछ तो इशू हो गया रहेगा, which I am sure would have been fixed अगर मैं नया अपडेट या नया वर्जन इंस्टॉल भी करता हूँ, दैट इज़ 12.13 और 3.13 या 2022 3.13, वहाँ पे इशू नहीं आएगा, आई होप, बिकॉज दिस इज़ क्लियरली अ बग, राइट? एज यू कैन सी, मैंने कोड में लिटरली कुछ चेंज नहीं किया, द कोड इज एग्जैक्टली वेयर आई लेफ्ट ऑफ, राइट? जो पहले जैसा था अभी भी वैसा ही है सब कुछ, राइट? इफ यू वांट टू सी, यू कैन सी, राइट? नथिंग हैज चेंज्ड, इट्स लिटरली द सेम कोड, इट्स जस्ट दैट कि मैंने वैल्यू यहाँ पे चेंज किया होगा. सो ठीक है, I'll live with it. Now such bugs are very common in literally any of the game engines, not just Unity, in Unreal, in Godot, in Playmaker or other engines as well. So ठीक है, bugs such as this is what makes you boiled. You will keep scratching your head as to why is it happening. From my perspective, the code and everything seems fine, but still it is happening. Who would have thought कि value change करने से काम होएगा? Who would have thought? It is nowhere near the top 10 solutions or top 10 speculations to understand or to resolve on how to fix that issue, right? If I had to think, मेरे टॉप 10 लिस्ट में तो वो आएगा ही नहीं कि हाँ इसका वैल्यू चेंज करने से फिक्स होगा, आ सकता है क्या इसका वैल्यू चेंज कर सकता हूँ. इट वुडंट इवन बी माई गेस. आई रेड द एंटायर कोड फ्रॉम A to Z and I saw nothing wrong, I found nothing wrong, and I accidentally changed the value and it just worked fine. Accident. Nice. So ठीक है, yet another Unity L. Alright, so it works fine now. Alright, so it wasn't even an issue in the first place, but it was made an issue due to the back end of the physics engine code, that is the back end of rigid body code, whatever, right? Alright, ठीक है. So I guess we'll move on, right? So since हम लोग का डायनामिक जंप हो गया, we are now also controlling the speed at which the character will fall the angle at which the character's trajectory should clamp while falling, and everything else. Correct? Our movement seems to work just fine right now. Right? So we'll move on to different things such as designing. Right? So take it. Let us design a basic environment. Now I have done this multiple times, and I have never speculated or never even received this kind of an issue. But it happens, right? Even small stuff that should take minutes to develop can take hours because of issues like this. So, alright, that is what I kept thinking, hence I was so quiet while speaking earlier. So take it. I guess I'll go to environment, and यहाँ पे I have something called as a sky. Now this is the sky. I don't really want to use this sky right now because I just want its color onto my camera. That is, I'll go to environment and I'll change the background color to whatever this is. Right, and I'll be deleting this sky, so my background looks something like this. Now I also want to make a camera follow script. Right, for that I'll be coding a follower. Right, that is follower. Now this is supposed to be within the camera. मेरा बाकी सब code namespaces पे, right? Correct. Untitled.player, untitled.player, yes, untitled.player. Correct, it is untitled. And for follower, I guess I'll be using, for now, namespace untitled.camera. Right. I'm not sure, I'm not finalized on this namespace, but okay, it's still developing. Right. So, oops, I'll use that. Now for a very basic camera follow, what I require is private or even public float speed, that is the follow speed. Right. Then I require serialized field private vector to velocity, the velocity at which the camera is following the target. Then I also require one more essential thing, that is target. Target shouldn't be a game object, it should be a transform. Right. Then I'll go to fixed update. Alright, fixed update के अंदर I'll just say transform dot position will be equals to vector 2 dot smooth damp from my current position towards target position at a reference velocity of the velocity variable that I created. Right, and the smooth time is what I need to control. Right, which is where speed will come into place. Right, that is smooth time. Now time will be also multiplied by delta time, and then I have maximum speed. So I'll yet create another variable for max speed. Right, which is what I will be keeping here. And then we have finally delta time. Then we'll pass time to delta time here, which means if I'm not using smooth time, then I'll just get rid of this thing right here. Right, so this is my smooth damp feature. Sure, this is not the final code, यहाँ पे काफ़ी changes करने पड़ेंगे, but we'll go step by step. Right, So I'll add the follower right here. I'll pass in a target, that is ln. I want to set a speed, let's say 1, maximum speed, let's say 25. Right, velocity is something that we shouldn't be changing because it is a reference type parameter, which means I will be making it read only. So which means I cannot be editing it. I won't be allowed to edit it. And यहाँ पे I'll just add some space, that is 10 pixels. Right, so everything looks okay. Right. ठीक है, now upon that I'll just see what's happening. Right, vector 2 smoothing happened, but the thing is इसने मेरा main camera z axis 0 पे ला दिया, which is a very basic thing when working with camera follower, which is why we require vector 3 dot smooth damp. Right, and the target position should always be modified. Right, that is, I'll create a private vector 3 target position. Right, I'll say start में target position dot z will be equals to transform dot position dot z, because I don't want to change it at runtime. Right, I'll even say target dot position will be equals to transform dot position at runtime, at start. And then on fixed update, I just want to say target dot position dot x will be equals to transform dot position dot x. And instead of moving to target position, I'll now move on to this position. Alright, whereas मेरे velocity में फिर भी थोड़ा changes आ रहा है. Sure, so I'll make sure to cast it to vector 2. Okay, I guess reference variables cast नहीं होता फिर, or maybe I'm casting it wrong. Nah, never mind. I never tried casting a reference variable, I just realized. So I'll just use this, I guess. ठीक है, doesn't really matter. Z पे ठीक है. I press play. Now we can see यहाँ पे velocity change हो रहा है, and I'll be able to see कि मेरा कैमरा क्या स्पीड में मेरे को फॉलो कर रहा है. The speed is 1 as of now. I can increase the speed as 5. But the thing is, this isn't speed, this is time. Right? The time it takes to smooth from point A to point B, which means this should be renamed to smooth time instead. Right, which means इसका वैल्यू जितना कम होगा उतना फास्ट मेरा कैमरा मेरे को फॉलो करेगा. लेट्स से a value of 0.1 would be as good as a rigid camera. A value of 0.5 would allow me to go or allow me to smooth everything out. Right, ठीक है. So that is where I'll keep it 0.5. Now there is one more thing that I require in here, that is an offset. Right, so I do require an offset that allows me to keep my character on one edge of the screen, because from what I see now is मेरे को आगे का पोर्शन तो दिख ही नहीं रहा है, कैरेक्टर जिधर भाग रहा है. I should be able to see it, right? So for now we'll just keep it unidirectional. That is simply by adding public vector 3 offset. Right, and we'll be adding this offset onto transform position, so that point A is never same to where I'm keeping it. Right, which means as you can see, right, let's also make this 0.25 instead, and this should also be 0.25. Right, maybe it should be 0.35, but 5 is too much. Oh, okay, my bad. My bad. I should have been adding it onto the target instead. हाँ, वो पहले काम इसलिए कर रहा था बिकॉज मैंने वैल्यू छोटा रखा था, मैक्स स्पीड उसको लिमिट कर रहा था. माय बैड. सो अभी आई कैन नाउ एक्चुअली कीप इट. मेरे को कितना दूर चाहिए. सो यहाँ पे आई कैन सी देयर इज अ वैल्यू ऑफ 5 ऑलमोस्ट. राइट, सो मैं इसको जितना वैल्यू में आगे बढ़ाऊंगा उतना मेरा ट्रांसफॉर्म पे वैल्यूज चेंज होएगा. सो मेरे को इसको कैमरा से कितना दूर रखना है लोकल पोजीशन पे, अराउंड अ वैल्यू ऑफ अगेन 5 चाहिए मेरे को. सो लेफ्ट जाने के टाइम आई विल सी नथिंग चेंज्ड, बट व्हेन गोइंग फॉरवर्ड इट लुक्स ग्रेट. राइट, बैकवर्ड जाने के लिए अपने को एक्स्ट्रा कोड लिखना पड़ेगा इफ ओनली आवर गेम डिज़ाइन अलाउस अस टू गो बैक. राइट, it depends on the type of game I'm making as well. Is there any content or any context as to I should be going backwards or not? Right, if there is none, I guess I can keep this, but usually in most cases I do want to go back. Right, so when I do want to go back, I would have to first detect कि मेरा character का forward क्या है. Right, which means I would be multiplying this offset by transform or target dot forward. Right, forward dot y. उप्स, मैंने आई गेस गलत किया. सो यू सी, इफ आई एम गोइंग लेफ्ट मेरा स्क्रीन लेफ्ट की तरफ बायस होगा, इफ आई एम गोइंग राइट मेरा स्क्रीन राइट की तरफ बायस होगा. राइट, सो या दिस इज ग्रेट, बट अगेन इवन मैं थोड़ा भी मूव होता हूँ इट चेंजेस एवरीथिंग. So take, I guess for this we will need to create dead zones. Also we can also still use this cinemachine package, but I discourage to use it, especially in learning projects and in lectures, right, because it creates a habit of using it all the time, even when it's an overkill. Right, so yeah, I won't be using cinemachine as of now, but ये सारी की सारी चीज़ें जितना भी था अभी हम लोगों ने बनाया वो सब ऑटोमेट करके दे देता. We won't have to write any code, we would just have to adjust on the inspector as to what we exactly want, but I guess this is more fun. Alright, so that we have target.forward.z, that is का forward action. Now that was only possible कि मैंने फ्लिपिंग के टाइम अपने कैरेक्टर को रोटेशन पे फ्लिप किया हुआ. दैट इज उसका वाई रोटेशन मैंने टोटल 180 कर दिया. राइट, सो दिस इज व्हाट कीप्स हैपनिंग बिहाइंड द सीन. वो रोटेट होता. राइट, इस तरीके से. सो ऑन अ 2D स्क्रीन वी सी कि अ पेपर हैज़ बिन लुकिंग टू इट्स लेफ्ट एंड नाउ इट्स लुकिंग टू इट्स राइट. एक पेपर फ्लिप हो गया. That's it. If I were to use sprite renderer का flip x, then मेरे को सारे के सारे logic अलग तरीके से लिखना पड़ता and यहाँ पे it shouldn't be multiplied with forward.z in that case because उसका forward would always stay the same and instead उसका flip x का value से I have to determine कि if it is true I would multiply it by 1 or I would multiply it with -1. Correct? ठीक है. Bro, who is there? Okay. Alright. So ठीक है. This is it. Right. अपना कैमरा भी हो गया छोटा सा एंड अपना कंट्रोलर्स भी हो गया. ठीक है. Now I guess we can finally move on to making the design. अभी डिज़ाइन बनाने के लिए देयर इज़ वन लिटल थिंग आई वुड लाइक टू डू इस कैमरा को पर्सपेक्टिव करेंगे. टू अंडरस्टैंड वाई कैमरा शुड बी पर्सपेक्टिव विल फर्स्ट डिज़ाइन इट इन ऑर्थोग्राफिक बट यहाँ पे आई चेंज द नियर क्लिप एंड फार क्लिप वैल्यूज टू 1 and 100 सच सो दैट मेरे कैमरा का बॉक्स यू सी इट्स वेरी लिमिटेड. आई डोंट वांट अ कैमरा दिस लॉन्ग. 100 लुक्स फाइन टू मी. ऑलराइट. ठीक है. That is the camera box. ठीक है. अभी इसके अंदर I again want to switch back to the 2D mode and I'll go to environment. कहाँ गया? हाँ 2D game kit sprites environment and I'll select mountains. Where are things when I need to find them? Happens every time. Yeah, found it. ठीक. Now what I'm going to do is इस mountain को मैं यहाँ पे बीच में रख देता हूँ. I'm going to go to its import settings and I'll be changing it to full rect. No physics, shape, no extrude edges. I'll apply everything. There isn't a warning, so I won't be changing or messing with the compression. This allows me to tile it. Right. I'll put this into a shorter value. And I can tile it to infinity. I'll also be changing its pivot to bottom left so that I can keep it around here, right, let's say. And when I tile it, it only tiles onto the right hand side, so I can define the length kahan tak ye replicate hoga, right. Then also I will be increasing its scale. In this instance, yes, scale. Now I would also recommend कि हर बार if you want to change things always change with pixels per unit, but I want different mountains with different sizes, hence the route of scaling. Also I guess इस value को हम लोग 300 पे रखेगा तो I guess थोड़ा better रहेगा या even 100 पे, right, so that हम लोग को starting में पूरा का पूरा scale नहीं करना पड़ेगा. Of course इसको 100 पे रखा then इसका tiling का value change हो जाता, which means we now have to keep it somewhat at 6 I guess, right. So this is the basic mountain. Now this is the mountain that I want to post in the background. Good thing we created multiple sorting layers. -100, right. Cool. -20 and -5 जहाँ पे मैं इसको इतना 60 तक टाइल करके रखता हूँ, राइट. नाउ व्हाट आई सी इन हियर इज एज आई गो फॉरवर्ड मेरे को माउंटेन दिखता है. ओके, नॉट बैड. इस माउंटेन को थोड़ा एनहांस करता है. दैट इज आई विल रिमूव एनी एंटी एलियासिंग फ्रॉम दिस एंड मेक इट टू नो पॉइंट फिल्टर, राइट. रैप मोड इज समथिंग आई शुड बी चेंजिंग टू रिपीट, राइट. एंड ठीक है, I guess this is going to make the mountain a little bit crispier to look at. Alright, ठीक है. Now my concern is with the orthographic camera. Let's say इसको मैं negative 10 पे डालता हूँ. I mean 10 पे डालता हूँ, not negative 10, 10 पे. Because 10 पे क्या आएगा वो थोड़ा पीछे जाता रहेगा. That is कैमरा के comparison में, right. If I were to lock this transform and camera को select करता हूँ, you can see -10 मैं वो कैमरा के बाहर लेकर आता, आई वॉन्ट टू पुश इट बैक. ठीक है, ऑल राइट. I'll unlock the inspector. This is what I see, right? ठीक है. I'll even make a duplicate of this mountain right here. And इसको और पीछे लेता हूँ. Let's say -20. Oops, I mean 20. I don't know why I kept doing that. And इसका मैं scaling थोड़ा बढ़ा दूँगा 1.5, right? And इसको मैं थोड़ा सा darker shade दूँगा. I'll just sample this purple color. And since I am on this area, I'll use the HSV to move it towards a darker side. अब ये side दिखने के लिए I'll compare the two mountains and I'll move or keep moving the saturation until I see a clear difference. I guess the saturation is fine. I just need to change the vibrance now. 90, right? So there is a clear difference between the two mountains right now. So it looks like this, alright, better than before, but still it looks very bland. So this is where I keep or make the camera perspective. In perspective, you are now met with a cone camera instead of a box camera, which is how literally any normal camera works or is supposed to work. Alright. Even background wale ko main, I'll just keep it at -110 to change stuff. Tilemaps printer को I'll keep it at negative. Actually इसको 0 पे रखना चाहिए. Sweet ln as a default, so that's fine. और कुछ नहीं अपने पास, right? So ठीक है. ये जो बैकग्राउंड वाला पहला माउंटेन है इसको मैं -10 पे रखूँगा एंड इसको मैं -20 पे रखूँगा, similar to its Z value. So it is easier to arrange all of them. So now what happens in a perspective camera is you'll see for yourself. You can see the mountains keep moving atop of each other, right? If only we were able to fit all of this into a single camera, ठीक है? Which is where we now need to adjust the camera as well. I'd say इसका FOV थोड़ा घटा सकते हैं, but FOV घटाना would be bad. So I'll take the camera a little closer. Or maybe I can take it a little bit upwards, that is around 1, which is fine, right? So it looks like this. So at least मेरा ground नहीं दिख रहा, but again मेरे को mountains का bottoms दिख रहा, which is why I need to place this mountains a little bit lower. But of course को नीचे रखने से वो कैमरा के पीछे छुप जाता. Now that is what I need to fix in a perspective camera, right? Now I am not using parallaxing, I am mimicking parallaxing by using a perspective camera, right? Parallax के लिए we had to write additional code, but yeah, this is easier as an approach, but that is more better as an approach, writing code. But I won't be addressing writing parallax code right now. Alright, ठीक है. I'll just increase its scale up to a value of 2, I guess. Right. Sure, scale was increased. I'll go down to other camera and I'll say it also goes or belongs in the -10 on y-axis. Right. The first mountain's scale was 2. The other mountain's scale should be higher. That is 2.2, let's say. Right, उसका position should also be different so that repetitive mountain textures नहीं दिखे हम लोग को. Right, so I'll keep it at -50 on x-axis, whereas पहला mountain was at -25. अभी also there is one more thing कि अगर मैं left most part पे जाता I can see the mountain, which is I don't want to see that mountain, right? So I guess इसको और left में लेना पड़ेगा, that is around -40. Right, so that it is out of the camera. Again, this is a bad practice because we render things outside of the camera, right? So ठीक है, I just wanted this at this point, and I guess मैं फिर भी थोड़ा सा गैप दिख रहा था इधर स्काई पे. So I guess मेरे को माउंटेन और नीचे लेना पड़ेगा, या फिर there is another approach कि मैं कैमरा को थोड़ा और ऊपर ले सकता हूँ, right? But should the camera go up? only if I increase the FOV, right? अगर मैं FOV इंक्रीज करके जाता ऊपर, then only मेरे mountains और गैप बनाता, which means I need to shift the mountains to a lower value, negative 11.5, negative 11.5 is where I keep everything for now. Alright, so yeah, we see a clear difference between how all these mountains are now making a difference. Right, again, mountains seem a little low. Sure. क्या 65 का FOV is enough? I mean, you can never tell in a platformer game, right? Platformer game में doesn't make a difference. If the FOV is 60, you just make it so that camera is a bit far, and it is exactly going to look the same to you. So what you want to do when adjusting all of this is to not get confused and set the field of view at an acceptable value, whatever value it must be, and then you want to adjust your camera front and back, right? अभी मैं 90 FOV कर दिया कि लेकिन कैमरा नज़दीक लेके आया, so it is definitely not going to change much, right? Even मैं if इसको 0 पे रखूँ और इसको नज़दीक लेके आओ, this is going to look like this. या फिर I can keep it afar as well, right? कितना एरिया दिखाना है मेरे को एक टाइम पे. This is the initials of my camera, -7, 2. Now मेरा माउंटेन मेरे को और भी विजिबल दिख रहा है, so ठीक है. I can also change the pixels per unit for each and every mountain, but that would only mean कि मेरे को इसको और टाइलिंग करना पड़ेगा, जो अभी मैंने perfectly रखा हुआ है. So I guess scaling would only be a better option. That is अगर इसको -15 पे भी लेके जाता हूँ, and let's say मैं कैमरा का बेस कलर 2 मिनट के लिए चेंज करता हूँ, am I seeing any background behind the mountains? No, which means so perfectly fit. I'll press Ctrl Z, and ये इस वाले आगे वाले mountain को I'll just increase the scaling again. Let's say 3. पीछे वाले mountain का I'll go 3.5, जो again same value पे आना चाहिए, that is -15. Okay, so this is the downside of not using code for parallaxing, right? That is हर एक चीज़ को एडजस्ट करना है, लेकिन एक ही बार एडजस्ट करना है. You don't have to adjust it multiple times. So now you can see, since मेरा FOV काफ़ी ज़्यादा है, I am now able to see more of the elements in this game, right? मेरे को ज़्यादा एलिमेंट्स दिख रहे हैं, कैरेक्टर छोटा दिख रहा है, ग्राउंड छोटा दिख रहा है, मेरे को काफ़ी कुछ दिख रहा है. I can fill a lot of space with environments if required, but this also puts the pressure on me to design an environment worthy of such space. Right, like इतना बड़ा स्पेस बनाया क्यों मैंने, तो ऐसा एनवायरनमेंट भी बनाना पड़ेगा मेरे को. सो दैट्स द इशू. ठीक है, I'll do that. But first, I need to arrange everything. Right, I'll just say that this is supposed to be environment. Oops, environment. राइट, अभी ये भी एक अनोइंग चीज़ है कि बार बार ट्रांसफॉर्म रीसेट करना पड़ता है. उसके लिए काफ़ी ऑप्शंस बताए हुए मैंने, आई मीन लेक्चर्स में बताया, जो भी मेरे स्टूडेंट्स लोग देख रहे हैं. इज दैट यू गो टू प्रेफरेंसेस, go to scene view and create objects at origin, right? So any new object you create will be at 0 0 0 by default. So इस environment के अंदर I'll put in grid and I'll put in mountains, right? अभी यहाँ पे there is going to be a lot, right? यहाँ पे I guess you will find the fun part, that is mountain. I'll also name this mountain as 10, mountain 20, right? So it is easier to recognize them as to which is which. Yeah. Now by fun part I mean कि यहाँ पे थोड़ा intense development होगा. The movement part is a bit easier. I don't even have to explain a lot. राइट. इट्स जस्ट दैट कि बस जंप करना है, जंप को थोड़ा और पॉलिश करना है, स्मूथ आउट करना है एंड एवरीथिंग. इट्स वेरी बेसिक, राइट. सो अभी विथ एन एक्सटेंडेड FOV आई एम नाउ सीइंग कि मेरा कैरेक्टर का जंप मेरे को इतना सेटिस्फाइंग नहीं दिख रहा, विच मीन्स आई विल बी इंक्रीजिंग द पावर to minimum velocity to 20 and इसका jump height will be set to 7.5 I guess. Right, and this value I guess मेरे को और कम करना, -30 I guess. ठीक है. minimum velocity x I don't know. इट डजेंट मैटर एज ऑफ नाउ, क्योंकि एक्स को ऐसे भी हम लोग क्लैम्प नहीं कर रहा कोड में. सो यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं लिखा तो भी फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता. रन पे और सॉरी वर्क पेस इज समथिंग आई इंक्रीज टू 3 एंड रन पेस टू 9. यहाँ पे मेरे को माउंटेन्स के बीच में गैप दिख रहा है. राइट, टाइम टू फिक्स दैट एज वेल. सो आई गेस पीछे वाले माउंटेन को मेरे को थोड़ा और नीचे लेना पड़ेगा. एट लेट्स से -20, -18 should be fine as well, but ठीक है. It should basically hide everything else. And इसका साइज मैं 3.75 कर दूंगा इंस्टेड, राइट. एंड पहले वाला जो कैमरा था -40 पे था, इसको मैं -55 पे डाल दूंगा बिकॉज आई एम सीइंग द सेम टेक्सचर गेटिंग रिपीटेड, दैट इज माउंटेन्स रेप्लिकेट हो रहा है. बट ठीक है, पैरालैक्स में वो चीज़ निकल जाएगा ऐसे हम लोग आगे पीछे जाएंगे तो, राइट. ठीक है. This is -60 and this is -80, let's say. राइट, अभी मेरे को लेफ्ट वाला पार्ट नहीं दिख रहा, विच इज़ फाइन. सो आई गेस दोनों को मैं -60 पे रख सकता है, जो कुछ इशू नहीं है, राइट. अभी दोनों को भी -60 पे रखा, स्केल डिफरेंट होने के साथ साथ दोनों पैरालैक्स में आगे पीछे हो गया. दोनों को आगे पीछे उतना रखने का ज़रूरत नहीं है. I mean, एक दूसरे के दे कैन बी स्टिल केप्ट एट सेम डिस्टेंस एंड इवेंचुअली there will always be a way as to where they replicate themselves, which is why we need to add more mountains, right. So इसको मैं 30 पे लेके जाऊँगा and I'll say this is going to be mountain 30. इसका order in layer would also be -30, right. and इसका scale होगा 4.5. अभी इसका HSV में इसका vibrance में और घटाऊँगा 75. इसका सैचुरेशन थोड़ा बड़ा होगा ताकि डिफरेंस दिख के आए. सो आई कैन नाउ क्लियरली टेल द डिफरेंस बिटवीन 3 माउंटेन्स. आई गेस पीछे वाले का सैचुरेशन मैंने कुछ ज़्यादा बढ़ा दिया, 20, राइट. यस, लुक्स मच बेटर. सो ठीक है. माउंटेन का लेफ्ट पार्ट दिख रहा है मेरे को. ओके, नाइस, गुड टू सी, गुड टू नो. नेगेटिविटी ठीक है, एज लॉन्ग एज नहीं दिख रहा, जो अभी भी दिख रहा, आई गेस -100 देन. इन दैट इसको भी लेके आते हैं थोड़ा कंसिस्टेंसी दिखाने के लिए, राइट. सो यहाँ पे वी कैन सी द माउंटेन्स एग्जैक्टली रेप्लिकेट देमसेल्व्स. बट ठीक है, जैसे आगे जाएगा वो चेंज होता रहेगा, राइट. वो ठीक है, दैट इज़ नॉट अ बिग इशू. 90. ऐसा कुछ नहीं, हम लोग इसको कैमरा को इधर भी रख सकते हैं. इट्स जस्ट इधर तक अपने को कुछ रखना पड़ेगा, राइट, अप टू दिस पॉइंट, राइट. दैट इज इतना सा पार्ट जो हमने अभी तक परफेक्टली सेट करके रखा हुआ, राइट. सो ठीक है. वी कैन ऑल्सो क्लैम्प द कैमरा टू नॉट गो बियॉन्ड ए सर्टन पोजिशन, राइट. ठीक है, उसका बाद में करेगा. But for now we see this. I'll add one last final mountain, right, because 4 mountains is what I always go with, right. If you are making mountains, make 4 of them. Aryan Sasson. He said that. 2, right? Negative 25. इसका भी वाइब्रेंस और घटाना पड़ेगा मेरे को, अराउंड 50. सैचुरेशन आई गेस इंक्रीज. मैंने काफ़ी ज़्यादा वाइब्रेंस घटा दिया 75 के बाद अचानक से. आई गेस 60 वुड बी फाइन इफ़ मैं इसका सैचुरेशन बढ़ा रहा हूँ तो. आई गेस थोड़ा घटा होगा, मैं 10 तक लेके आऊँगा. दिस इज़ व्हाट आई सी. राइट, नॉट बैड. अगेन दिस एनवायरनमेंट इज स्टार्टिंग टू लुक गुड. अभी मेरे मूवमेंट को क्या होगा अचानक वापस? द सेम इशू. राइट, मे बी इट्स टाइम टू चेंज. द मिनिमम वेलोसिटी. राइट, इसको अगर मैं -7 पे रखता हूँ, आई विल सी कि वो रेप्लिकेट हो रहा है कि नहीं. भागते भागते हो रहा है अभी. Nope, नहीं हो रहा. So again, the physics engine is really buggy in this version, which I just figured out myself. Okay, I didn't realize it sooner, but as you can see, ऐसा लग रहा है एलियन पैराशूट लेके कूद रही है. राइट, ठीक है. सो ठीक है, क्या ही कर सकते हैं अभी. आई विल जस्ट अपडेट द वर्जन ऑन टू नेक्स्ट लेक्चर, बिकॉज अभी अपडेट करने बैठेगा तो टाइम जाएगा. राइट, सो अगेन दिस इज वेरी वॉन्की. Maybe what I can do is to fix this. Surely ये कोड से भी फिक्सेबल है, बट इट्स जस्ट दैट कि मेरे को इस कोड को कंटिन्यूसली अपडेट पे रन करना पड़ेगा, विच इज़ नॉट ए गुड थिंग टू डू. राइट, जो इसका इस ग्राउंडेड है, इस ग्राउंडेड हैश का जो हम लोग सेट कर रहे हैं, वी आर सेटिंग इट ऑन फिक्स्ड अपडेट एज ऑफ नाउ. राइट, फिक्स्ड अपडेट पे डाल रहा है. इफ आई वर टू कॉल दिस इवेंट, या फिर आई वर टू पोस्ट दिस कोड ऑन टू एन अपडेट function, it would work just fine, no issues whatsoever, but it shouldn't be asking me to do that. Okay, ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए. Right, this won't cause that issue, but again this is a bad way, because now I am updating the variable every single frame, which shouldn't be done. Right, so ठीक है. I only really want to detect the character's grounded ability for when it is actually grounded. I guess मेरे को एक और solution जिस लिखो अभी बोलते बोलते बात करते करते is that I guess इसका जो डिटेक्शन डिस्टेंस है वो बढ़ा देता है, 0.3 कर देता है. राइट, दैट इसका रे बड़ा हो जाएगा. सो आई गेस डिटेक्शन थोड़ा और स्पेक्यूलेटिव हो जाएगा. राइट, मे बी आई शुड हैव थॉट ऑफ दैट टू मेक इट मोर स्पेक्यूलेटिव बाय इंक्रीजिंग द कंट्रोलर और द डिटेक्शन डिस्टेंस. ठीक है, I thought of it right now and that's fine. So cool. I'll also be dividing the scripts into folders. Now I require player. Right, player has animation, controller, events. Right, I'll also be creating a folder for camera, even though it has only one script as of now. बट वट आई लाइक टू डू इस, मैं जो नेम स्पेस में जा रहा हूँ उस नेम स्पेस का एक फोल्डर बनाता हूँ हमेशा. राइट, सिंस मैं वहाँ पे प्लेयर नेम स्पेस पे बैठा था, सो मैंने उसको प्लेयर नाम के फोल्डर पे डाल दिया. ऑलराइट, सो दैट इज़ व्हाट आई एम डूइंग राइट नाउ. बाद में चेंज कर सकते, कुछ इशू नहीं है. अभी के लिए थोड़ा ऑर्गेनाइज करके रखते हैं. व्हाट्स द प्रॉब्लम? राइट, देयर इज़ नो इशू, दिस इज़ फाइन. then I mean scripts player, input access वगैरह ठीक है. कैमरा cool. now I just require more stuff. मेरा mountains, they look kind of beautiful. do you want me to add a mountain 50? yes, why not. Why not go to -100 and add as many mountains as we can. It's only going to look better the more there are. Right. Now this mountain should be totally grayed out. Right, it can be something like this. इसका सैचुरेशन में काफ़ी कम रखूँगा, आई गेस इनफैक्ट 0 ही रखूँगा, जो भी है ग्रे स्केल में रखूँगा इस माउंटेन को, एंड इसका स्केलिंग मैं 6 कर दूँगा, दैट इज बिग. ठीक है. What I can also do is I can make this mountain a bit invisible. Since a grey out mountain है, इसको थोड़ा transparency दे सकते हैं, which is not recommended. But since it's a grayed out mountain, we can add transparency. We just have to ensure कि इस mountain के पीछे we don't add any clouds or anything like that. Right? So ठीक है. What just happened? Oh, इसका vibrance ज़्यादा कम हो गया. हाँ. Wait, I think I messed up. इसका HSV का HU क्या है? 288. Nice. थोड़ा सा वाइब्रेंस का ट्राई करता हूँ मैं फिर भी. Like literally 5%. Even that. इस पे 10% है, उस पे 5% है. ठीक है. पर्पल दिख रहा है कुछ तो. Fine. So yeah, final output only for mountains as of now, but ये mountains I don't want to see so many mountains, right? ठीक है. What we want to do is we want to change this, or we want to add more details in here. So उसके लिए we have so many assets, right? That we have sprites, environments, and we have clouds and skies and everything else. So टाइम क्या हुआ एक्चुअली? 7:45 हो गया. I only have 15 minutes left. I just realized. Watching one nice. क्या? Oh, hey, I'm famous. One guy is watching me this live stream. Oh, one watching, and that's me because I have it open on the other tab. That's actually sad, but who cares? ठीक है, it is what it is. I don't even expect more watches. ठीक है. Yeah. So mountains are great. Our code looks great. Right. Everything looks great. Everything works fine and properly. And maybe I shouldn't have blamed this on Unity. I should have thought of increasing the detection radius. तो मेरा व्यू काम क्यों नहीं हो रहा फिर? Okay. So definitely it is still the physics engine at fault, but maybe there is something I don't understand about that as to why it was happening on a very specific value and not other values, even though the detection distance was the same. That is what I cannot get behind. Maybe it's Unity's fault, maybe it's my fault, but now this thing can change that, right? So ठीक है, maybe I should have thought of that, but मेरे को just click हुआ अभी, but ठीक है. It's fine. I'll just try to add more clouds now. अभी for clouds, what we can do is let's just say कि मैंने यहाँ पे ऐसे बीच में cloud डाल दिया, right? This can be called as cloud 1, I guess. इस cloud को मैं बोलूँगा कि अभी के लिए मेरे कैमरा पे आने का ट्राई कर, दैट इज रीसेट हो जाए. इट्स ऑन माई कैमरा, राइट? दिस क्लाउड शुड ऑल्सो बी पैरालैक्स, दैट इज उसको z पे डेप्थ आना चाहिए. लेट्स से अ डेप्थ ऑफ 5. whenever a depth of 5 is occurred, I'll post it on the background and I'll say कि -5 पे जाना चाहिए. All these clouds should also be uncompressed and they should be bilinear, but they should also be clamped in the wrap mode, sorry. Yeah, so इनका मैं भी स्केलिंग बढ़ा सकता हूँ. और I can also say, अच्छा नहीं हो गया वो, ठीक है, ओके. Scaling बढ़ा के what I can do is I can post them between different clouds. if अगर मैं एक specific value पे रखता हूँ, जैसे कि अगर इसको 15 पे डाल रहा हूँ, then I'll also set the ordering layer at -15, which is they are now between two mountains. If they are between two mountains, I can maybe increase the scale to 5, change its rotation, and this is what I get. Right. Now not only that, we can also add colors to these mountains. Let's say पर्पल कलर ऐड करना है मेरे को, पर्पल टिंट ऐड करना है क्लाउड पे, आई कैन डू दैट. क्लाउड को डार्क बनाना है, कर सकता हूँ. क्लाउड को ट्रांसपेरेंसी ऐड करना है, कर सकता हूँ ईजीली. सो दिस जस्ट लुक्स लाइक स्मोक टू मी नाउ, which is really great, right? Because when I look it into a parallax view, it literally just looks like a moving smoke in a perspective camera. So what if I were to spam the entire scene with clouds as such? That would only make this look better, right? That would only make the environment look better. बट फॉर दैट अभी मेरे को एवरी क्लाउड को डुप्लीकेट करना पड़ेगा, फिर उसका स्प्राइट चेंज करना पड़ेगा, उसका रोटेशन सेट करना पड़ेगा, उसका स्केल चेंज करना पड़ेगा, एंड एवरीथिंग, एंड ऑर्डर इन लेयर. So this is a repetitive process. When you're coding, you shouldn't be doing repetitive processes. If a process is repetitive, you should be writing a code to automate that repetition, right? So I'm going to create yet another folder, and I'm going to call this as MISC, right? MISC के अंदर I'm going to say cloud randomizer tool, right? That is, it should also be namespace untitled dot MISC. Alright, since it's a MISC, I'll change this to internal class because I don't want any other assemblies to find it. And okay, it doesn't matter if they find it as well, but it's just useless. Why have more on their intelligences? So, what I really want is a public void randomize function. Right? In this randomization, I want to change the position of the cloud as well as the depth of the cloud, but I guess इसका position मैं खुद से set कर सकता हूँ. What I only want to change is the depth, a randomized rotation as well as a randomized scale, right? So ठीक है, वो करने के लिए I'll just say transform. Okay, मेरे को transform लिखने से एक और चीज़ याद आया कि श्योर हम लोगों ने कैमरा पे ट्रांसफॉर्म डॉट पोजिशन वगैरह यूज़ किया था, बट आई गेस इट वुड बी जस्ट बेटर इफ आई वाज एबल टू कैश द ट्रांसफॉर्म एज वेल, सिंस कैमरा एवरी फ्रेम एक्सेस हो रहा. सो आई जस्ट से ट्रांसफॉर्म, दैट्स इट. ऑलराइट, न्यू ट्रांसफॉर्म, एंड आई विल गो टू अवेक एंड से कि ट्रांसफॉर्म विल बी इक्वल्स टू गेट कंपोनेंट ट्रांसफॉर्म. That is also fine, or we can also use base dot transform to decrease the overhead on the awake, because I don't want to run another get component function, right? So ठीक है, this is now cached. ये जो value return करके दिखा है property, that will be cached onto this variable, and that variable is what we keep using right now, right? So ठीक है, that is better now. After that, cloud randomizer पे I don't need to cache transform here. इसका every frame नहीं डालने वाला, वैसे भी edit time पे चलने वाला ये tool. I just say transform dot local scale will be equals to vector 3 dot 1, right? Random dot range, that is 1 comma 10, right? That is, I can create variables such as public min scale, max scale, right, of type floating points, whereas I'll change this to min scale and this will be maximum scale. But the thing is, ये जो min and max scale है वो मेरे को literally कितने भी precision points में number ला के देगा, right? For when I were to run this function, it would give me values such as 1.13578 and so on. So every time I start, I'll see कि इसको अगर मैं फंक्शन को रन करता हूँ randomize, and if I press play, if I were to also attach the script onto this cloud and say 1 to 10, right, you can see itna precision points matter, which looks really unclean, right? What I like are clean values. Up to 2 precision points I am fine with it, right? But ठीक है, I guess we'll have to change that. यहाँ पे एक और चीज़ कर सकते हैं इस that इनका default values we can change to 1f and 10f, right? ठीक है. After that मेरे को बस mathf dot round, right? I'll be rounding this digit to its nearest integer while multiplying with 100. That is मेरे को कितना पॉइंट चाहिए while multiplying with 10, let's say मेरे को अगर एक ही precision point चाहिए, and then I divide that value by again 10, right? And whatever value I get will then be multiplied by vector 3.1. So what happens is I now only generate random values up to one single precision point, right? 7.1, 7.9, 6.1, 5.4. If I want more precision points, then I need to add more values of such, alright? Okay, ठीक है. Now ये क्या करता है कि अपना रैंडम रेंज का जो वैल्यू रहेगा उसको इंटीजर में कन्वर्ट करता है, राउंड ऑफ करता है. तो वैल्यू ऑफ 7.1 would be round off to 7. Now 7 point, let's say we have a value of paint 7.13785, right? इसका राउंड ऑफ क्या होगा 7. बट व्हाट इफ वी मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 10? मल्टीप्लाइड 10 करने से क्या होगा 71.3785. इसका राउंड ऑफ क्या आएगा 71, right? Now this value if we divide by 10, what do you get? 7.1. alright, that's it. So जितना वैल्यू तुम लोग प्रिसिशन के लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में डालोगे उतना ही वैल्यू वापस उसको RHS में डाल देना. That is by dividing it by the same number, right? So I'll just say यहाँ पे आएगा constant local float precision 10f, right? And I'll use precision right here, alright? ठीक है. Now the thing is, I just want this to happen not on start but on runtime. Either I can write a custom editor for this class, which shouldn't be an issue. So I'm going to do that. Internal class cloud randomizer tool editor. I'll say custom editor type of cloud randomizer tool. Correct. Override on inspector GUI. I'll say base inspector GUI, that's fine. If GUI layout dot button, and that is whatever button we want to call it, let's say randomize. Then we have a function where we can say ki in that case I want target as cloud randomizer tool dot randomize function, right? उसके लिए I'll also first of all create a target variable right here where target will be equals to this thing. Alright, so target dot randomize, एंड इसका नाम देने के लिए आई एम गोइंग टू यूज नेम ऑफ टारगेट डॉट रैंडमाइज. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज अगर मैं इसका नाम भी चेंज करता हूँ मेरे बटन का नाम भी चेंज हो जाएगा. सो एवरीथिंग इज नाउ बाइंडेड टू वन अनदर. राइट. Can we please be friends? You never think again. I want to speak again. Alright, so every time I press this randomize button, मेरा scaling change होता है, but only up to one single precision point. Now, after that, I also want to randomize its rotation, that is Euler angles. Right. But this would only happen on vector 3 dot forward. Right. Random dot range 0f comma 360f. That's it. Done. अभी ये रोटेशन भी रैंडमाइज करेगा इसका. राइट. बट रोटेशन को भी आई वांट प्रिसिशन. राइट. सो व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू डू इज आई एम गोइंग टू क्रिएट येट अनदर फंक्शन प्राइवेट वॉइड ठीक है. आई एम गोइंग टू से फ्लोट वैल्यू. राइट. आई एम गोइंग टू डू दैट नाउ. इसका बोलूँगा कि इट शुड बी नाउ रिटर्निंग ऑल ऑफ दिस. एंड यहाँ पे मैं एक और चीज़ बोल देता हूँ, इंट लेवल इक्वल्स टू 1. राइट. सो बेसिकली मेरा जो फ्लोट प्रिसिशन होगा दैट इज फ्लोट, इट विल नो लॉन्गर बी अ कांस्टेंट बट इट विल बी 10f इंटू लेवल. राइट. दैट इज आई कैन ऑल्सो मेक इट variable which is now an integer. Right. So what I can do is I can now call precision and pass a value of this. Right. And I can also do the same with this another value. I just want to check कि मैंने बराबर किया कि नहीं, because I try to take a shortcut. I think बराबर किया. So everything is now at a single digit. Great. Works fine like a charm. Alright. सब बराबर है. Alright. Also I guess ये फ्लोट में कांस्टेंट में कन्वर्ट नहीं होगा बिकॉज कांस्टेंट आर सपोज टू बी कांस्टेंट वैल्यूज और लिटरल वैल्यूज. ऑलराइट. ठीक है. सो आफ्टर दिस आई ऑल्सो वांट टू चेंज इट्स z डेप्थ. राइट. सो आई एम गोइंग टू क्रिएट येट मोर फ्लोट्स. पब्लिक फ्लोट min डेप्थ max डेप्थ. राइट. ऑल्सो मैं बोलूँगा मिनिमम स्केल का जो वैल्यू होगा दैट शुडंट गो लेस देन 1. राइट. लाइक नेगेटिव पे क्लाउड स्केल नहीं होना चाहिए विच वुडंट कॉज एन इशू बट स्टिल वाई. राइट. ठीक है. सो आई मिन डेप्थ एंड मैक्सिमम डेप्थ that is transform dot all right. सो ठीक है, अभी द थिंग इज ये क्लाउड मेरा डेप्थ में जा रहा है, बराबर है, नहीं जा रहा? ओह, मैंने डेप्थ असाइन ही नहीं किया, कैसे जाएगा? राइट, इट शुड बी फ्रॉम 0 to 50, right? But ये सिंगल पॉइंट पे नहीं जाना चाहिए. What I want to do is it should always be in an integer. Now, so मैं क्या करता हूँ, यहाँ पे इसका जो लेवल पास किया है, if I make it 0, it would malfunction, right? Because अपना फॉर्मूला काम नहीं करेगा. Correct? Not a number, invalid input. बराबर है. Because why would I multiply it with 0 and then divide it by 0? Right. So in that case, I also want to create a check here. Level is greater than 0? Question mark. Right. Or else I just say mathf dot round value. क्या हुआ? राइट. सो इन दैट केस मेरे को वैल्यू सिर्फ इंटीजर में जाके मिलेगा. राइट. सो ऑल्सो आई गेस मेरे को राउंड फंक्शन 2 बार कॉल करने का ज़रूरत नहीं है. नहीं, 2 बार करने का ज़रूरत है. और बिकॉज वो डिवाइड भी कर रहा है ना. Hello, my loneliness. दो बार डबल चेक करना पड़ेगा ना फिर. दिस इज फाइन, that doesn't cause an issue. Right. बराबर चल रहा था, चल रहा. फ़र्क नहीं पड़ेगा इसको अंदर लिख के, जो भी बेटर रीडेबिलिटी के लिए जो भी है. सो दिस इज़ फाइन. राइट. वी ऑल्सो वांट कि इसका जो भी डेप्थ जा रहा है दैट शुड ऑल्सो बी रिफ्लेक्टेड ऑन टू ऑर्डर इन लेयर ऑफ द स्प्राइट रेंडरर. राइट. विच मीन्स मेरे को इसका स्प्राइट रेंडरर का रेफरेंस देना पड़ेगा. यस. Or else I can also get component on every single click. Since it's only happening in editor, it won't cause a big ruckus, right? So I'm just going to say if try get component out sprite renderer, in that case I'll just say renderer dot sorting order. Okay, not layer ID, sorting order. I made that mistake once. Should be equals to this position Z, right? But in negative range, right? This is already an integer. All right. सो अभी क्या आएगा, यू कैन सी इट इज 10, इट गोज टू -10, दिस इज 41, इट गोज टू -41, इट इज 48, इट गोज टू -48, विच मीन्स अपना सब काम ऑटोमेट हो रहा है. आई जस्ट नीड टू फर्स्ट प्लेस दिस समवेयर एंड वो सब जगह पे काम करेगा, राइट. क्लाउड के आगे जाएगा, क्लाउड के पीछे जाएगा. एंड देन देर इज ऑल्सो वन मोर थिंग कि हम लोग इसका मिनिमम डेप्थ -5 तक भी दे सकता है, राइट. विच मीन्स अगर मैं लेट्स से इसका मैक्सिमम 0 लगी तो इट इज़ नाउ गोइंग टू गो 4, -4, दैट इज स्क्रीन के आगे आएगा, राइट. एंड उसका ऑर्डर इन लेयर वुड बी पॉजिटिव एज वेल, बट ठीक है. उप्स सॉरी. हाँ, अभी इस चीज़ को मेरे को फोरग्राउंड पे डालना व्हेन इट इज फ्रंट. सो इन दैट केस मेरे को बस इतना चेक करना पड़ेगा, इफ पोजिशन डॉट z इज ग्रेटर देन 0, ओके, दिस इज स्टिल अ फ्लोट, राइट. सो यहाँ पे लिटरल पे भी 0 लगाता है, वरना इट विल परफॉर्म एन इम्प्लिसिट कास्टिंग फ्रॉम इंटीजर टू फ्लोट, or implicit conversion, my bad. Then we want the renderer dot sorting layer name should be equals to foreground, right. Well, now we can also set it all the time using ternary. Right, great. What? Oops. Alright, so this will be foreground, and इसको मैं पॉजिटिव 5 का रेंज देता हूँ. यू कैन सी इट गोज टू बैकग्राउंड समटाइम्स एंड गिव्स टू फोरग्राउंड, राइट. अगर आ गया है तो, वरना बैकग्राउंड पे जाएगा, एज यू कैन सी राइट हियर. सो ठीक है, आई गेस मैं इस कोड को थोड़ा और बेटर तरीके से लिख सकता हूँ. इज दैट id equals to int position dot z, right, and I want this position to be in a negative range, and then I want to say okay, if this id is greater than 0, in that case I do that, varna I just sorting order will be equals to that id, whatever that is supposed to be, right. इसको अगर short form पे लिखना है, then I can also write it like this, right, but this is less readable according to the community, right. Also you make your own decisions, and इसको वन लाइनर में डाल दे तो भर भी सकते पूरा. ओके, नाउ दिस इज डेफिनेटली लेस रीडेबल, बट ठीक है, वॉट एवर यू सी फिट, राइट. इट माइट जस्ट बी कन्फ्यूजिंग, उतना आई मीन कुछ बड़ा लिखा नहीं, उतना कन्फ्यूजिंग होना भी नहीं चाहिए, बट ठीक है, इट इज़ वॉट इट इज़, राइट. इसको देखते हैं यहाँ पे आई डी, सो वी डोंट हैव टू चेंज इट राइट हियर. Order. Oops. Keyboard. Hello. What the fuck? Okay. So मैं ये सब चीज़ें चेंज कर सकता हूँ यहाँ से. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट. हाँ ठीक है, बोल रहा है स्विच एक्सप्रेशन में सारे वैल्यूज हैंडल नहीं हुआ है, इट डजंट मैटर एज ऑफ नाउ. इस का मैक्सिमम डेप्थ वाइल keep it at 50, right. So we have now a cloud randomizer tool, right. सो मेरे को क्या करना है, बस क्लाउड्स को इधर उधर प्लेस करना है। राइट, लेट्स से मेरे को यहाँ पे रखना है क्लाउड को। आई जस्ट रैंडमाइज दिस। राइट, इसको कहाँ पे रखना चाहिए, आई कैन डिसाइड दैट। एंड व्हेन आई प्रेस द गेम प्ले एंड इफ आई गो टू फुल स्क्रीन, आई विल सी दैट क्लाउड राइट देयर। राइट, आई मीन ऑफ कोर्स अगर अच्छा नहीं दिख रहा, क्लिक रैंडमाइज अगेन एंड होप इट लुक्स गुड। फिर भी अच्छा नहीं दिख रहा है, खुद से थोड़ा रोटेशन चेंज करके देखो। एनीवेज थोड़ा मैनुअल वर्क तो लगेगा, बट ठीक है। राइट, इसको एक वाई का भी रेंज दे सकते हो। एंड ऑल्सो वन मोर थिंग कि इसको मूव करने के टाइम स्नैपिंग से मूव करता है। राइट, दैट इज यहाँ पे 0.5 का स्नैपिंग रख दो एंड होल्ड कंट्रोल सो इट ऑलवेज मूव्स इन दैट। नो वाई, ओ रोटेटेड रहता तो प्रिसिशन पॉइंट्स में आता। दैट इज़ इंटरेस्टिंग, आई डिडंट नो दैट। राइट, सो स्नैपिंग के लिए भी आई गेस व्हाट यू कैन डू इज on validate, right, and you can have this position right again. Alright, and you can just say on everything position dot x will be equals to precision. Alright, position dot x position dot y will be equals to precision position dot y। जब भी वैलिडेट होगा ये चीज़। राइट, so you can see what is happening right now. You see it, right? यहाँ पे so when we move it, it will always be on a double level। बट ठीक है, जैसे इसको रैंडमस वगैरह करेंगे या वैल्यू इसका चेंज करेंगे, इट विल मूव टू अ सिंगल प्रिसिशन पॉइंट। नाउ व्हाट वी कैन ऑल्सो डू इज इसको पब्लिक बना सकते हैं ऑन वैलिडेट को। दैट इज एवरी टाइम लोडअप होता है या कुछ भी होता है इस ऑब्जेक्ट का, it will be fixed, and since it is public we can also call it and target dot on validate। राइट, ये लोग मेन फंक्शन भी एक्स्ट्रा कॉल करेंगे हम लोग, राइट, बिकॉज इट इजंट कॉल्ड इनफ। ठीक है, दैट्स इट, दैट इज द क्लाउड रैंडमाइजिंग टूल। राइट, आई गेस थोड़ा अच्छा है। सो व्हाट वी कैन डू इज इसको किधर भी डालो, रैंडमाइज मारो, एवरीथिंग विल बी फाइन। राइट, इसको पूरा प्रिसिशन पॉइंट में चलेगा, रैंडमाइज करो, होगा ठीक। राइट, यू कैन ऑल्सो क्रिएट मोर बटन्स, नॉट ओनली टू रैंडमाइज, टू फिक्स एज वेल। राइट, कि सिर्फ उसका पोजिशन वगैरह फिक्स करना है, इट्स योर चॉइस, यू कैन डू व्हाट यू वांट। राइट, अभी मैक्सिमम स्केल मैंने 10 रखा, काफ़ी ज़्यादा रखा है, नहीं रखना चाहिए 10 का स्केल, 5 का इज इनफ। I can control all of this, right? So ठीक है, that's it. I guess अभी के लिए मैं यहाँ पे स्टॉप करूँगा। मैंने थोड़ा सा एडवांस जंपिंग बताया, ओके, नॉट मच बट ठीक है। एडवांस कंट्रोल ऑन जंपिंग, अ बिट ऑफ कैमरा मूवमेंट एंड अ बिट ऑफ डिज़ाइनिंग। राइट, आई से कि मेरा स्टार्टिंग का हाफ एन आवर कोड समझने में गया, व्हाट डिड आई डू प्रीवियसली, and the other half to understand ये वाला बग क्यों हो रहा था। राइट, इट्स जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ वैल्यूज। राइट, ठीक है, इट जस्ट डिडंट मेक सेंस टू मी। ब्लेमिंग यूनिटी आई गेस वाज रॉन्ग, आई डोंट रियली नो। ठीक है, इसका मेडिटेशन रेडियस बढ़ा के रखता हूँ, वैसे भी इट वोंट मैटर मच। राइट, ठीक है, इट्स ऑल गुड। राइट, एवरीथिंग वर्क्स, इट्स ग्रेट। क्लाउड टूल बनाया एंड आई गेस नेक्स्ट टाइम डिज़ाइनिंग पे और एम्फोसाइज करेंगे इसके, राइट. अभी के लिए वी जस्ट हैव माउंटेन्स. ओप्स, मैंने सीन पे फुल स्क्रीन प्ले किया, बट या माउंटेन्स लुक गुड एज वेल. ओके, अभी लेट्स से मैं क्लाउड्स भर भर के लाता हूँ, देन दे वुड लुक गुड एज वेल. देर आर मोर थिंग्स यू कैन ऐड टू दिस रैंडमाइजर, सच एज रैंडम अल्फा वैल्यूज, राइट. इसका जो कलर है उस पर अल्फा का वैल्यू रैंडम हो जाना चाहिए, विच इज़ वॉट यू कैन ऑल्सो डू राइट हियर. दैट इज रेंडरर के अंदर रेंडरर डॉट कलर will be equals to new, right. But does color take a source of itself? No, there is no overload for that. So sadly अपने को खुद को change करना पड़ेगा. That is where color equals to renderer dot color, right. And we have renderer या फिर color equal to that, and we'll say color dot a will be equals to random dot range 0f comma 1f, right. That is float पे value रहता. So every time now I randomize the cloud as well, it randomizes the alpha value as well, right, which is great. You can also add कि वो एक u लेना चाहिए. Sure, why not. उसका RGB values पे changes करो, right. Now I also want कि the cloud is all the time the same. I want to have different clouds. I have, I guess, कितना 9 cloud variations. I want literally any of this cloud at random. So उसको यहाँ पे array बना के रखना है और उसका renderer का sprite ही change कर देना. Alright, there are so many ways we can randomize this, and I guess इसको extend करेंगे हम लोग. So मैंने यहाँ पे comment लिख के रखता हूँ कि add sprite array. So क्या नेक्स्ट टाइम मेरे को याद आ जाएगा इतना सा देख के. एंड अभी आई गेस मैंने 20 मिनट्स ओवर टाइम ले लिया, कैरी आउट होगा. ठीक है, अच्छी बात है. इज एनी वन स्टिल वॉचिंग मी? आई हैव 2 questions for you. Do you have any doubts? And the second question is why? One watching, yes. Answer both questions right now or I'll end the stream. Okay, that was cringe. I'll be waiting. No doubts. Okie dokie. Right. So again, final output देख लेते एक बार. Nice. I aim to add more environments and finally finalize a game with this assets. Add multiple enemies, interactive boss fights, and so on, right. ठीक है. So next Saturday मिलता है वापस. I'll definitely continue this or maybe some other project. We'll look about that. Alright. ठीक है. Bye bye.